Yo, 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 what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right. So shout out to everybody. Hope everyone is starting their morning good. If you guys can hear me okay, please give me a thumbs up or radiation emoji in the chat. If you guys are having some difficulty hearing or seeing me, please give me a thumbs down or an angry face. And while you guys are doing that, I'm gonna shout out everybody that's in the building early. Shout out to Volvo 2 Love, my man AB Promotions in the building. Shout out to Val, good to see you as always. Shout out to my man Carlton Way. What's good with you, bro? We got Jerry Bedford in the building. Shout out to Lehman Lucas. Make sure y'all show Lehman Lucas some love. He sent me a good story this morning. I'm gonna try to get that in at some point. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Tedra. Good to see you as always. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen, always enforcing those likes. Make sure y'all throw them like enforcers in the chat for Brooklyn Queen. Definitely appreciate you. Shout out to Faith Enlightened, longtime channel supporter. Good to see you as always. Shout out to NY State of Mind. Good to see you. Shout out to my man Tampa Supreme. Good to see you, bro. Y'all need to make sure y'all go and check out Tampa Supreme's channel. My man be dropping content over there too. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Brooklyn Queen 125. I'm extremely elated with your satisfaction with the stream yesterday. I'm glad you liked it. Make sure you guys show Brooklyn Queen some love, throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Brooklyn Queen funding the organization and starting off hot as the first stream sponsor.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Cash rules everything around me. Queen, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, yo.
And shout out to Flowers. It is good to see you. All right. So we're going to talk about this situation right here, right? Shout out to Kenyon Perry. What's good with you, Kenyon? So I don't know if you guys saw the thumbnail, right? But on the thumbnail, I said Kamala Harris's DEI pick, right? And the reason I said that she was a DEI pick is because she was marketed to people as something that she wasn't. She was picked contingent on a promise, and she was not picked contingent on her own ability to run or her ability to show or display her electability. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Now, why am I saying that? I'm saying that because what I said is we're going to take the DEI word and we're going to weaponize it back against those who wish to use it against us. Now, let me ask you guys a question. I want to get you guys approval from this. How many people are satisfied with all these quote unquote first black people? Shout out to Kid Gravity. What's good with it, bro? If you guys are satisfied with these quote unquote first black people, as far as first black female president, first black congressman, first black head of congressional black caucus, my question is, any person who's a quote unquote first black that's touted by the mainstream media, are you satisfied with them? If you guys are satisfied with them, give me a thumbs up. If you're not satisfied with them, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to my man AB Promotions. Make sure y'all show AB Promotions some love. Second stream sponsor. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for AB funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Get the money, y'all. There's poor people around.
I'm rich, biatch!
Now, let me ask you guys this question. Would it be safe to say that the white media, the white government apparatus, and white businesses use quote unquote the first black as DEI picks to appease to the emotions of black people, and those people have proven no competency in improving any situation for black people? So by that logic, do both sides weaponize DEI? Here, we're giving you the first black. Now celebrate. Then you wait 4 or 5 years and nothing comes of it. A DEI pick. Why? Because if they're going to be a first black, the idea is that they're going to lay a pathway for other black people to follow in their footsteps. And what ends up happening is that person either ends up getting rich or getting broken, and no black people follow in the footsteps, which means that they're picked simply because they're black by white people to appease to you while literally doing nothing. Is that fair? Is that a fair assessment? Because there's some people that see the thumbnail, and because we live in a society where people just look at things and don't actually pay attention to them, or they just allow non-facts or alternative facts to be the guiding light of how they live their life, they're gonna just kind of brush past what I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to do here. But if what I said makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If what I said does not make sense, give me a thumbs down. Out of any first black person that's ever been picked by the quote unquote white financial system, government, economic, media apparatus, who has been competent and delivered anything for anybody? So that would mean that they picked them based on being black to appease to black people while showing no competency in improving any situation for black people. Is that true? If that's true, give me a thumbs up. If that's not true, then give me a thumbs down. And if you ask me, that is how we should start deeming anyone who they try to quote unquote choose for us. Anyone that we don't choose on our own is an automatic DEI pick, and we'll throw that back onto their lap. If that makes sense, let me know. If it doesn't make sense, also let me know. All right. We're going to take a look at some numbers. All right. This is New York Times. All right. See, New York Times. This poll was updated on the 21st, yesterday. Election 2024 polls, Biden versus Trump. So you guys know Trump is the red line, Biden is the blue line. Who's leading the polls? Trump, 47%, Biden, 44%. Look at all these states. Biden is leading. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Biden is leading in 2 out of 9 of these states up here. Okay. Look at these averages. Look at all of the red. +2 for Trump, +3 for Trump, +3 for Trump, +3 for Trump, +1 for Trump, +2 for Trump, +2 for Trump, +3 for Trump. Not looking good. Okay. Look at this right here. Look at this. Not looking good at all. Now take a look. If we change this right here and add Kennedy into this poll, Biden goes down to 39%. Trump leads on all of these. Not a good situation for Biden. Look at this. Look at that. So we're going to definitely be looking at these polls. We're going to definitely be looking at these polls. Now, here's my question. This is Biden versus Trump. My question for you guys is, how do these charts change? How do these charts change with Kamala Harris replacing Biden? That's my question. How do these charts change with Kamala Harris replacing Biden? Are they going to look better or are they going to look worse? Of course, we're not going to be able to say until we actually see them and until we see the actual factors and variables at play. I don't know how it's going to look. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if anybody's aware, but Obama has not yet endorsed Harris, which is a very interesting situation. All right. We're going to take a look at this article, and then we're going to take another look at another article that is also showing that Nancy Pelosi hasn't endorsed Kamala Harris yet. So and shout out to Win Lose a Rug. Shout out to Rick Guillory. What's good with it, fellas? So this is not good because they would probably, shout out to DJ Elmo. What's good with it, bro? They would probably be doing better if they had the endorsements, but they don't have the endorsements. Now, here's my question for you guys. Why would Obama and Pelosi not endorse Harris? I think one of the reasons why they're not endorsing Harris is because Harris probably has one of the same problems that Biden has. The electability factor is very low, which again, I don't know why they did this, because if you ask me, statistically, Joe Biden had the highest chance of being competitive. And that's not even a guaranteed W. Joe Biden just had the highest chance of being competitive. Shout out to Black Spider. What's good with it? Okay. Why Obama hasn't endorsed Harris? The former president has positioned himself as an impartial elder statesman above intra-party machinations and was neutral during the 2020 Democratic primaries. All right. Many of the marquee names in Democratic politics began lining up behind Vice President Kamala Harris on Sunday, but one towering presence in the party held back: Barack Obama. Why? Why? That's big. We're going. How many people agree that we are going to see monumental records and historical precedent set with this election? And I don't think it's going to be in a good way for the Democrats. I don't think it's going to be in a good way for the Democrats. You know what I'm saying? The former president has not yet endorsed Miss Harris. Now, I want to say something about this, right? Why is the mainstream media selling everyone the story that Joe Biden did a valiant job? He just did this valiant job of, I'm going to quit. I'm going to be a quitter. When are quitters ever celebrated? Shout out to Dre D. What's good with you, bro? When are quitters ever celebrated? One thing that's fascinating about what the media is doing right now is the media is not addressing how they literally sat there and lied about Joe Biden's bill of health this entire time. They literally just lied about it. People were questioning this. They had the media attacking people, deeming it as misinformation, not covering any kind of assessments that Joe Biden had as far as his cognition or anything. And now we're going to brush right past that. And what we're going to do is we're going to sit here and say, well, now we got a new candidate. Concentrate on a new candidate. Joe Biden did the right thing. Did he? I don't know. I don't know if this was a good move or not. I don't think it was a good move. I think that this was probably the least common sense, worst, illogical move that the Democrats could have possibly done. You were already more than likely gonna lose, but now the loss is probably going to be gaping. It's going to be gaping. You know what I'm saying? The former president has not yet endorsed Ms. Harris. In fact, he did not mention her once in an affectionate, if tauntingly written, tribute to President Biden that was posted on Medium shortly after he decided to bow out on Sunday. Joe Biden has been one of America's most consequential presidents, as well as a dear friend and partner to me, wrote Mr. Obama, who chose Mr. Biden as his running mate in 2008 because he said at the time that he wanted a quote-unquote older, more experienced running mate with quote-unquote gray in his hair and limited future presidential ambitions. So Obama wanted a low ambition vice president, and somehow that low ambition vice president is now the president. Think about that. So that's what we're dealing with right now, which is clearly true. He's a low ambition person because he quit. Quitters are low ambition. That's why they quit. We will be navigating uncharted waters in the days ahead, Mr. Obama wrote in the post. But I have an extraordinary confidence that the leaders of our party will be able to create a process from which an outstanding nominee emerges. So what is that saying? What that says to me is that Obama does not see Kamala Harris as an outstanding nominee. He doesn't see Kamala Harris as an outstanding nominee. Republicans interpreted that as a snub, but people close to Mr. Obama, who has positioned himself as an impartial elder statesman above intra-party machinations, said not to read too much into it and had no alternate candidate in mind when he made the decision not to immediately endorse Ms. Harris, which is interesting because that means that he didn't have an endorsement in mind for Kamala Harris either. Shout out to Karen Dorsey. Would you guys agree? Obama has or had no intention of endorsing Kamala Harris. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Obama adopted an identical stance 4 years ago when Mr. Biden's aides pressured him to endorse early in the Democratic primaries before Senator Bernie Sanders dropped out. Mr. Obama's favorite phrase back then was, "I don't want to thumb the scale." Endorsing too early now would also be a political mistake, fueling criticism that Ms. Harris's nomination, should it come, was a coronation rather than the best possible consensus under rushed circumstances, they said. I don't know how in any circumstance at this point, how this is coming together, they could see it as not that. Shout out to Speak Facts Podcast. What's good with you, bro? I don't see how it can be looked at as anything other than that as of right now. You know what I'm saying? Instead, Mr. Obama sees his role as helping too quickly unite the party once we have a nominee, a person familiar with his thinking said. But there are other more personal considerations exacerbating Mr. Obama's innate caution. Mr. Biden is a deeply prideful man, as he will never, and he has never fully forgiven Mr. Obama for quietly backing former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton in the 2016 campaign. Mr. Biden still believes he could have beaten former President Donald J. Trump that year if given the chance. Nor was Biden pleased when Obama told him that he should consider sitting out 2020 too, people in his circle have said. Mr. Obama wanted Sunday to be about Mr. Biden, a celebration of his accomplishments, and does not feel pressure to act hastily, according to a former White House official who speaks with the former president regularly. So, you know, Barack Obama kind of sitting back there like Darth Vader. You know what I'm saying? He kind of sitting back there like Darth Vader. Now, that's interesting about Obama wanting the low ambition candidates, because that's a criticism that people have given of Trump as well. So you see the mirror of these people literally being the same people. Yeah, shout out to the NY State of Mind. If you guys agree that these people are phony, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree and you think that they're as real as it gets, then give me a thumbs down. Yeah, and shout out to Tampa Supreme. That's a great question. What did Biden accomplish? I'll tell you one thing that Biden accomplished: a record amount of falling upstairs and a record amount of falling off of bikes. Those are two monumental accomplishments that Joe Biden did that I don't think I've seen any other president in history do. You know what I'm saying? Now, you see Nancy Pelosi is also at this point not endorsing Obama, is not endorsing Kamala Harris. They're not endorsing Kamala Harris. So this is interesting. So my question is, if Kamala Harris can't get her party to endorse her, how is she going to get voters to endorse her? How's she going to do that? You know what I'm saying? The two most powerful Democrats praised Biden for stepping aside, but pointedly said nothing to back Harris, despite the president himself endorsing her, which is interesting. So they're also going against what Biden did, because Biden endorsed Kamala Harris, but Pelosi and Obama are not. Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi both failed to endorse Kamala Harris as they issued statements supporting President Joe Biden's decision to bow out of the 2024 race on Sunday. Both the former president and former speaker were seen by those closest to Biden as plotting behind the scenes to gradually ramp up pressure on the president to drop out. Now, let's actually talk about the dropout, right? Let's talk about the dropout. I wasn't gonna do this, but actually, I think I'm gonna. This might make the this might actually make the stream a little bit longer, but I think that you guys will get a little bit of a kick out of this. I had dropped this video in the Discord because I thought it was hilarious, because when I saw this video and then I actually watched it, the video went a little bit different than I thought it would. I want to show this video just to show this particular part. All right. Shout out to Harlem 2099. Shout out to my man Kurt. What's good with y'all? What do you guys think about all of the Black Congressional Caucus and all of these Black Democrats blindly backing Biden, and Biden, all these congressional Black Caucus people were saying to go with Joe Biden, put your faith behind Joe Biden, and Joe Biden didn't even have as much faith in himself as they had. And Joe Biden kind of crapped on all of their credibility by saying, I'm dropping out of the race, right? So that happened, right? Then what else happened is that Tim Scott on the other side, Tim Scott and Byron Donald, as much butt kissing and buck dancing as they were doing, they also got the short end of the stick, and Trump picked JD Vance. Now, I don't know if anybody is aware of the things that JD Vance has said about Trump, but in this video, there's a nice little compilation of the things. And what's interesting about it is that JD Vance said things very similar to what the mainstream media and what a lot of Democrats have said about Trump. And Tim Scott and Byron Donald gave Trump unrelenting loyalty and got crapped on. Listen to this.
They're waiting for one race. You know, we've endorsed Dr. Oz. We've endorsed JP, right? JD Mandel, and he's doing great. They're all doing good.
So, yeah, that was Donald Trump talking about his new running mate, JP Mandel, or should I say JD Vance. That is the decision that Donald Trump settled on. JD Vance is now on the ticket. We have Trump Vance for 2024. All Trump had to do was change 2 letters in the names. He went from Pence to Vance, and here we are. But JD Vance deeply offends me, and I'm going to tell you why as this video goes forward. Being someone who was born and raised in Appalachia, I've always been offended by JD Vance, and I'm even more so now offended that he's on this ticket and that people in my part of the world are looking at this as like, hey, look, Trump picked one of us. No, he didn't. Trump picked a poser just like himself. They're both posers. They're both people who have done nothing but profit off Appalachia, and I'm going to get to all of that. But before I do, we have to address the elephant in the room, and we have to address the fact that once upon a time, JD Vance said things like this.
JD Vance.
All right, now pay attention to this part right here. Now, what I want everybody to do is I want everybody to listen to this, and after you hear this, I want you guys to tell me when you've ever heard Tim Scott or Byron Donald talk about Trump like this.
JD Vance said things like this.
JD Vance, in his own words.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. As somebody who doesn't like Trump, I might have to hold my nose and vote for Hillary Clinton. I didn't vote for Trump because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious, him being really outrageous and offensive.
On Twitter, Vance called Trump, quote, reprehensible, an idiot, and Vance loves Mitt Romney.
I'm a never Trump guy.
That's the real JD Vance.
Now, I do.
He said, did y'all hear that? I'm about to run that back. These are all things that JD Vance said about Trump, man. Now, what I want you guys to do is I want y'all to tell me, have you ever heard Byron Donald or Tim Scott say anything like that?
JD Vance said things like this.
JD Vance, in his own words.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. As somebody who doesn't like Trump, I might have to hold my nose and vote for Hillary Clinton. I didn't vote for Trump because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious, him being really outrageous and offensive.
On Twitter, Vance called Trump, quote, reprehensible, an idiot, and Vance loves Mitt Romney.
I'm a never guy.
That's the real JD Vance.
Now, I do.
So what's fascinating about it is that it's very interesting how the Democrats and the Republicans moved in the exact same way, and both Trump and Joe Biden simultaneously crapped on their black buck dancers. They both crapped on their buck dancers. Now, somebody find me something with Tim Scott or Byron Donald. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, all the black dudes said that they love Trump. And then Trump picked a never Trump white guy. Now, let me ask you guys this question. You think they'll learn anything from it? All the Congressional Black Caucus lined up behind Joe Biden and said, trust Joe Biden. Joe Biden didn't even trust himself and left out of the race. It's amazing how these things happen simultaneously on both sides, and none of these people will ever learn anything. It's amazing to me. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I thought you guys would get a kick out of that. So now here says, by not immediately endorsing Harris, it gives Obama, Pelosi, and other Democratic leaders time to assess polling data over the next week that will give insight into how Harris would fare in a matchup against Trump. Now, here's my question for you guys. How would Harris fare in a matchup against Trump? What do you guys think? They're doing all of this talk. They're doing all of this prepping. Oh, it's a prosecutor versus a felon. I don't know if that's going to help anything. Yeah, if you guys agree with Carlton, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Carlton said those black men did all that butt kissing for nothing. All of that butt kissing, all of that butt dancing, they did it all for nothing. To get chosen by they got picked over, and a never Trumper was chosen over them. That means that all of their butt dancing was worth nothing compared to a never Trumper, which is wild. That literally essentially showed that should have showed them that they're worth nothing. They're worth nothing. You know what I'm saying? Which is wild. Like, I wonder how they feel about that. They probably punch in the air like Cuba Gooding Jr. on Boys in the Hood. Boys and conservatives. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says Joe Biden has been one of America's most consequential presidents, yada, yada, yada. We read that already. For the most part, you know what I'm saying? We got this. We read this last time. This is the same thing, just got Nancy Pelosi's name in it. You know what I'm saying? So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the media. We got a good lineup. We got your boy Jim Clyburn. We got your boy Al Sharpton. Who else we got? We got Jasmine Crockett, the roast queen. Everybody loves her. You know what I'm saying? We're going to look at all of these people and laugh at their hypocrisy and see how they've changed their stances on Joe Biden. Okay? Let's see what we got here. We're going to look at this video right here about how Boston, they got this local news clip. The Boston, quote unquote, black community, quote unquote, is reacting to Kamala Harris. So let's see how this is a local news outlet, not a national news outlet. Let's see what they're talking about here. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If y'all haven't smashed that like button yet, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media.
Now turn to Vice President Kamala Harris after President Biden called on Democrats to rally behind her. Now she is positioned to become the first ever black woman nominated for president by a major party.
So now they're going back to she's a black woman. So I want y'all to pay very close attention to how she's moving in and out of those check boxes effectively. And shout out to Soas Muscle Pain. Make sure y'all show Soas Muscle Pain some love. Throw some radiation emoji and some thumbs up in the chat for Soas Muscle Pain and forcing them likes. Definitely appreciate it.
Following the president's endorsement today, Arjane Bucci has reactions from leaders within the black community on this major announcement today.
Well, to say that the black community is excited about this potential nomination is an understatement. All eyes are now on Vice President.
Well, it's an understatement. It's an understatement. Yeah, shout out to Rick. I agree. If you guys agree with Rick, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Michael R. I appreciate you, bro. Yeah, I got to agree with DJ Elmo. Chameleon. Facts.
Kamala Harris to take this nomination. In a statement, she says it is her intention to earn and win the Democratic nomination that will make her the first ever black woman to take that position. And the local NAACP chapter president says no one is more qualified.
Okay, so how is she qualified? Let's go through that, because this is what we were talking about yesterday. Okay. Let's make the case. Here's two questions. The first question is, how is she qualified to be the president? The second question is, how is she qualified to compete, one, with Joe Biden's competitiveness to a path to victory against Trump? And how is she qualified to beat Trump? Those are my questions for you guys. Let me know. Let's see if this woman answers those questions.
Under her leadership, the Democratic Party has seen great wins. So she's first and foremost qualified for the role. Certainly, as a black woman,
What wins? What wins?
Has seen great wins.
The Democratic Party has seen great wins. Well, if there's so many wins, can you name two of them? Can you name How many people can name 2 wins that the Democratic Party has had?
Under her leadership, the Democratic Party has seen great wins. So she's first and foremost qualified.
She's first and foremost qualified. Are we going to list the qualifications?
For the role. Certainly, as a Black woman, I am elated to see the possibility of her being elevated to be the first woman of color, the first Black woman to receive the nomination of the Democratic Party.
First Black woman. First Black woman. Now, here goes my question. Is this weaponization of DEI? Look, let me ask you guys this. We're going to do another pipeline thing because you guys like these pipeline things. Is this the DEI to first Black to symbolism pipeline? Is that what this is? Is there a DEI to first Black to symbolism pipeline? Looks to me like there's a DEI to symbolism to first Black pipeline. Who elevated her? She said that she's happy that she got elevated. Who elevated her? If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it was Joe Biden that elevated her. If she was competent at quote unquote the Black thing, don't you guys think that Black people would have elevated her? Don't you guys notice that when it comes to these quote unquote first Blacks, none of these quote unquote first Blacks are ever elevated by quote unquote Black people? What do you guys think? Let me know.
The vice president is a member of the AKA sorority, and I spoke to the president of the local chapter about what it would mean to have Kamala Harris.
Hey, shout out to Rhonda. Greetings from the 216 from up the way to down the way. What's good with it? Up the way to down the way to Kennedy to John. Hey.
Harris be the nominee.
We are excited for our current vice president, our sorority sister Kamala Harris, who may be the next nominee. Looking forward to encouraging and supporting her in any way possible.
Where's the list of qualifications? Where's the list of qualifications? Isn't that what we were supposed to be getting? We were supposed to be getting a list of qualifications.
We'll have more on this, including what the local NAACP president wants to see the next president prioritize in their term.
All eyes now.
Okay, well, here's my question. How many people were impressed by that? And what's interesting about it is that we didn't really get any insight as to what Black people in Boston had to say. They didn't do any interview. They just had that was kind of biased. They had the 2 women, and then the one woman was a sorority sister. It was one of the Soros. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know if that's a representative sample of Black people in Boston or not. What do you guys think? If you guys think that was a representative sample of Black people in Boston, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't, then give me a thumbs down. That's a huge Zoom call. Shout out to Rhonda. Rhonda said there was a Zoom call of 40,000 women yesterday strategizing on getting Kamala Harris. It would be nice if they put that energy into getting some tangibles for the Black community. A lot of people seem to believe that once you come out of the DEI to symbolism to first Black pipeline, somehow that's tangible. But if you ask me, I don't think that that's a substitute for tangible. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Ricky. Ricky said, I'm tired of first DEI Black check boxes. First Blacks always from the dominant society, handpicked. Facts. And that's what makes them DEI. If they're handpicked by the dominant society, they're handpicked because they're skin color, not because they're qualified to do anything for us. See how we flipping that? See how we taking the DEI term from them? The same way they stole woke from us. See how we taking the DEI term from them? That's what you do. You know what I'm saying? They take from us, we take from them. You know what I'm saying?
President Biden's announcement that he is stepping down comes after weeks of debate on Capitol Hill over not only his future, but how congressional Democrats will perform in November. And now they'll do so with a new presidential ticket at the top. Here now to talk about it is House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Thank you, Congressman Leader Jeffries, for being with us tonight. Leader Jeffries, we know that you spoke to the president today. What's your reaction to the news that he's dropping out of the race and endorsing Vice President Harris?
Well, Joe Biden has been one of the most consequential presidents in American history.
So what's interesting about it, he called him the most consequential president in presidential history. So are all of these guys reading the Obama script? Because we literally just read that exact same quotation from Obama in the New York Times and on the Daily Beast. So is Hakeem Jeffries literally just reading newspaper articles? You guys heard that, right? He literally just read line 1 of the New York Times article.
He rescued the country from a once-in-a-century pandemic, saved the economy from the possibility of recession, and also, of course, was able to preserve our democracy by defeating the former president, the insurrectionist in chief, and someone who wants to turn back the clock on the United States of America. He has put people over politics and patriotism over personal position. And this is another heroic act.
So let me ask you guys this question. Does it take more qualifications to run for president than it takes to be the president, or does it take the same amount? Because if Joe Biden is not fit to run for president, is he actually fit to be serving right now? Is that a valid question? If that's a valid question, give me a thumbs up. If it's not a valid question, give me a thumbs down.
In a long-running series of heroic acts by Joe Biden on behalf of the American people from the moment he was first elected back in 1972 to the United States Senate.
Now let's turn to Trump, who responded to this afternoon's news by calling Joe Biden our nation's worst president in a phone interview with NBC News. Now, this follows the Trump campaign rally in Michigan last night, where he lobbed insults after insults at Vice President Kamala Harris, presuming that Vice President Harris becomes the Democratic nominee. How do you expect Trump will run against her?
Well, Donald Trump is running scared. House Republicans are running scared. Extreme MAGA Republicans are running scared.
Let me ask you guys this question. Is Hakeem Jeffries telling the truth? Why would Trump be scared if he's winning? We literally looked at all these polls. What would Trump be scared of? What what would he be scared of? And now the candidate that had the highest statistical chance of being competitive with him is no longer in the race. I'm confused as to what Trump would be scared of. If there was a legit threat, we would definitely talk about it. But where's the legit threat? Seriously, where's the threat? So let me ask you guys this question. Is Hakeem Jeffries up here telling you the truth?
Because the focus right now is going to turn back to Project 2025, which is the Trump plan to end America and our values and our path forward as we know it, to turn back the clock. The focus is going to be on the extreme Supreme Court justices who ripped away reproductive freedom from the women of America. The focus is going to be on Trump and his policies of trying to enact big tax cuts for the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected.
Does that anything that he's saying, does any of this sound like anything you're interested in? Well, what is there anything that Hakeem Jeffries has said that will get you off the couch? That's my question. If Hakeem Jeffries has said something that's going to get you off the couch, let me know what he said that's going to get you off the couch. If Hakeem Jeffries have said nothing and you're going to stay on the couch, then throw a couch in the chat.
We're going to be able to contrast that with our vision of putting people over politics, fighting for lower costs, ending price gouging, defending democracy, standing up for a woman's freedom to make her own reproductive health care decisions, and growing the middle class.
Now, when you talk about the contrast, isn't this really probably the clearest contrast we've had in presidential races in a long time, with all of the rights and all of the things that were fought for at risk, and some already being aborted by this Supreme Court, 3 of which were nominated by Trump? And you couldn't have more of a contrast in characters. I've already said this race will be the prosecutor versus the felon if we were having a boxing match. In Congress, Republicans are holding on to a razor-thin majority in the House. Are you confident that this kind of momentum that the vice president may bring to the race now, that Democrats are on track to win?
The only momentum that I'm telling you guys this, the only momentum that Kamala Harris is going to bring to the race is negative momentum. Negative momentum. The margin, the win margin is going to increase astronomically. She's not going to. What positive momentum is she going to bring? How can she possibly bring any positive momentum? What about Kamala Harris has a higher electability and likelihood than Joe Biden? This is what we talked about yesterday. What they have essentially done is they've changed their odds from pick 4 or a scratch off to a multi-state lottery, basically odds of Powerball and odds of Mega Millions. That's what they've done. They've increased the odds, which is ridiculous. Who does that? How is increasing the odds a strategy to win?
And back the chamber, which would make you the speaker. What are you hearing from members? I know you are probably going to be meeting and having Zoom calls with them, but what are you hearing? And are you hearing anything from voters? You and I were just at a church in Brooklyn a couple hours ago, and it seemed like it was enthusiasm there. What are you hearing, Mr. Leader?
Members are very excited. Voters on the ground are very excited. The party is very excited. We want to continue to lift up President Joe Biden and all of his incredible accomplishments. And as
what are those incredible accomplishments? Why is it that when they talk about these incredible accomplishments, they always talk in terms of absolutes and they never list anything that any of these people have ever done? Does anybody know any incredible accomplishments that Joe Biden has done? Shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. We got 42 people watching and we got 43 likes. If everybody could bang on that like button and try to get us to 80, that'd be wonderful.
he's made the decision to pass the torch, plot the path forward to make sure that we win the presidency, hold the Senate, and certainly take back control of the United States House of Representatives. Everything that we care about is on the line. If Roe v. Wade can fall, then anything can fall. Social Security can fall.
Fear tactics. Is this fear mongering? So I want you guys to pay very close attention. I mean, he's literally trying to soul brother talk you with no black issues. You know what I'm saying? I'm so glad that nowadays people are really recognizing this nonsense. Stop with the aggressive nonsense talk. This is what this is, aggressive nonsense talk. He's trying to soul brother air you is what he's trying to do. But this is ridiculous.
Medicare can fall. The Affordable Care Act can fall. The progress that we've made on the climate crisis can fall. Gun safety reform can fall. Democracy itself, as we know it, can fall. So everything we care about is on the line, and you're going to see an intensity and an energy and a capacity unleashed by the American people to make sure that this goes the right way in November.
Are you confident about the Democrats' ability to unify after a nominee is in place so close to the election?
I am. I think that we will do what's necessary over the next few weeks to prepare for the convention. It'll be an exciting convention in Chicago. We'll put on full display our agenda for the American people and do what is necessary in order to leave that convention unified, get the job done, work as hard as we can, day after day, week after week, month after month, and be successful on November 5th.
I want you guys to understand what you guys are witnessing is a monumental and historic political calamity. This right here is going to be a political calamity of epic proportions. This will be talked about for a very long time. For a very long time. Now we're gonna look at some conservative news real quick. Sky News, quote unquote, says that we've been lied to. So let's take a look and see what we've been lied to about. Let's see what we've been lied to about.
Expecting for some time now, the 81-year-old President Joe Biden has finally come to the conclusion that he's dropping out of the race. But apparently, he'll continue to run the country until a new president is sworn in with no problems at all.
My question is, how is if Joe Biden, if there's concerns that Joe Biden is not competent to run for president, are there any legitimate concerns that Joe Biden is not competent to run the country? I mean, to me, this is the next logical question that people should be asking. Would you guys agree?
The total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
Okay, nothing to see here, nothing to worry about. America will just continue to have a leader whose mental state is in rapid decline and who's not well enough to hold a press conference to make an announcement as significant as this to the American people, including those who have been supporting him despite all his massive mistakes. They had to hear the news via a social media post from the president, who has provided no reason as to why he's dropping out now. What a leader. We'll look at what this means for the Democrats and what's likely to happen next in just a moment. But how's the timing of this announcement? It comes less than a month before the Democratic National Convention, less than 4 months before the American people head to the polls, and after reports that influential Democratic figures like Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi, just in the last couple of weeks, have been telling the people close to Joe Biden.
Now, here's the thing, right? What the Democrats have to do, they got two tasks. First, they got to unify the party, right? Second, they got to get an organized agenda and campaign for Kamala. Third, they have to narrow those gaps of dislikability versus likability with Kamala Harris. My question is, in a very short time frame, in the shortest time frame in history so far, how are they going to be able to do that? How are they going to be able to do that?
That his time is up. The same people who have been saying this to you all year.
Is something that Joe Biden has worked on diligently each and every day on behalf of working Americans, and I expect him to continue to do that for the next
shout out to Ms.
4
Niecy.
years
What's
and
good with it, Ms.
8
Niecy?
months.
And we have to make sure people know. We have to respect them. We have to listen to them. We have to build community, continue to build community with them. I'm very excited about the credentials, the legitimacy, the leverage that Joe Biden has given to America's working families. And that's the message. And campaigns are campaigns. It's a war term. You have to go out there and fight.
Well, they lied to you. And they said this knowing it was a lie while witnessing firsthand that Joe Biden's mental fitness was in decline.
Now, I agree with that. If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. And that's why I keep asking the question, why is it that the mainstream media and the Democratic Party is not getting criticized for giving months on month of misinformation about Joe Biden's cognitive ability and his ability to run the country when it was clear that he is not? And it's also clear that they had contingency plans in case of this issue occurring all along.
But if you want to believe their BS, that they've only just discovered this is a new problem, how is it that outlets like Sky News Australia, not CNN, have been able to call out Joe Biden's mental decline years ago? Here is Joe Biden in 2022.
It is noteworthy that the percentage of women who register to vote and cast a ballot is consistently higher than the percentage of the men who do so. End of quote. Repeat the line. Women are not without electoral and or political, or let me be precise, not and or political power.
Mr. President, thank you.
Like, look at this, man. Have you ever seen anything? If you've ever seen anything like this, let me know. Have you ever seen anything this pathetic? How many people have ever seen anything like this? He didn't even know how to get off stage. Can you, I got to ask y'all this, man. Can you imagine what people think of people who voted for him and supported him? There's a whole bunch of people running around saying how, quote unquote, we supported him and we voted for this guy. Don't be sitting up here saying that I supported something that looks like that, because I didn't. You know what I'm saying?
And or political, or maybe not and or political power.
Mr. President, thank you.
Watch me. If you think I don't have the energy level or the mental acuity, then you know, that's one thing.
There were even reports last week that Barack Obama was telling Biden's aides that he has to go, but wouldn't say that publicly, only through leaks, because he was...
Now, some people have said that the George Clooney op-ed that was written about Joe Biden, there are theories, and I don't know if these are definitive theories, but there are theories that say that Barack Obama was behind that, okay?
Concerned with protecting Joe Biden and his legacy. Seriously, if he wanted to protect Joe Biden and his legacy, he would have done everything in his power to stop Joe Biden from going out on that debate stage and making an absolute fool of himself against Donald Trump.
Eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with.
Let me ask you guys your opinion on this. If you ask me, this particular situation that we have going on with Joe Biden, this should solidify and prove, one, that the majority of the mainstream media is not to be trusted. And it would also go as far as to say the Democrats shouldn't be trusted either. I don't know what could be. I don't know what would prove that more. Would you guys, if you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. And shout out to everybody that's watching that just came in. If you guys haven't smashed the like button, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys are not subscribed to the channel, please take a moment, hit that bell icon twice. Also, hit that link that's pinned in the chat. Join the Discord so that you don't miss any notifications. And if you are on Rumble, take a moment and subscribe to the channel on Rumble.
Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Those close to Joe Biden allowed him to become the laughing stock of the world while pretending they had his back publicly. And you know, Barack Obama, being the former president, knows exactly.
Oh, man. Shout out to Kurt, man. Make sure y'all show Kurt some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Kurt.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the march of dimes.
Silence! Silence! I ain't got no money, pie.
Cash rules everything around me. Queen, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, yo.
Kurt said, rewind that. Biden out here walking around like CP3O during the final Death Star battle. Bro, he was up there. Do you remember when they was about to when they was running through the Death Star and the vent to the dumpster thing had got opened up and they all had to jump down there into the water? That's how, and CP3O was like stuck and R2D2 pushed him from behind and he went in. That's exactly how Joe Biden was walking around. Hold on real quick. He was walking around like CP3O.
Or political power.
He was like, I'm dancing, 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 machine.
And or political, or maybe precise, not and or political power.
Mr. President, thank you.
Watch me. If you think I don't have the energy level of them.
Somebody need to make a YouTube short of that with the dancing machine music in the background.
Or political power.
Mr. President, thank you.
Watch me. If you think I don't have the energy level of them.
Oh, yeah, we watching you, bro. We watching you. About to watch you do this dumb stuff one more time.
Be precise, not and or political power.
Mr. President, thank you.
Hey, man, Biden needed Google Maps to get off the stage. That's crazy.
Watch me. If you think I don't have the energy level of the mental acuity, then
that's
one thing.
There were even reports last week that Barack Obama was telling Biden's aides that he has to go, but wouldn't say that publicly, only through leaks, because he was concerned with protecting Joe Biden and his legacy. Seriously, if he wanted to protect Joe Biden and his legacy, he would have done everything in his power to stop Joe Biden from going out on that debate stage and making an absolute fool of himself, Donald Trump.
Eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Those close to Joe Biden allowed.
Hey, what did he just say? Who in the chat can tell me what he just say? Or what he just said? He got me up here. He got me up here talking like him.
With dealing with everything we have to do with.
Man, them gears in that head, man. He's trying so hard. I bet you he burned like 500 calories just trying to get that sentence out.
Fool of himself against Donald Trump.
Eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Those.
He just gave up. He gave up on the sentence he was trying to get through. We just beat Medicare. Like that's stop. Don't worry about what I was trying to say before. We just beat Medicare.
Full of himself against Donald Trump.
Eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
What does he say when he goes to these meetings and he's talking with other countries? Like if he's talking with Xi Jinping or he's talking with Vladimir Putin, what is he saying to them? What is he saying to them? This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying right now. If they're looking at, if we're looking at this and we're looking at this and it's like Biden's not fit to run for the presidency, you got to ask the question, is he fit to be president now? Is this safe?
This close to Joe Biden allowed him to become the laughing stock of the world while pretending they had his back publicly. And Barack Obama, being the former president, knows exactly what to do when the cameras are on him. Here he is a month ago at a fundraiser, leading Joe Biden, who clearly doesn't know where he is, off the stage for the world to see.
Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Rick Guillory. Make sure you guys show Rick some love, throw some flames, some radiation emojis, some ducks in the chat to Rick. Funding.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the marching times.
Cash rules everything around me. Queen, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
Get the money, y'all. There's poor people around. I'm rich, bitch.
Definitely appreciate it, bro. Rick Guillory says the media has DNC been covering up for Biden with his dementia for a while. Has done any press conferences less than any president. Reagan did more. Yeah, I agree. There was something that I was watching or something that I was reading yesterday, and they were talking about how this administration had literally been shielding both Biden and Kamala Harris from media exposure because both of them are walking PR nightmares waiting to happen. They're both walking PR nightmares waiting to happen. Neither one of them ever has a good experience when the camera is in front of them. They always fall flat on their face. You know what I'm saying? Joe Biden, higher likelihood of falling flat on his face when he's on a bike or going upstairs. You know what I'm saying?
Now, some people may look at that and go, how sweet, very sweet, but others can see right through it. It is no wonder more Americans than ever before are throwing their support behind Donald Trump because these senior Democrats have been so arrogant to ignore and dismiss the genuine concerns of the American people while continuing to push a campaign which is essentially anyone, even a fragile old man with a poor memory, is a better option than Donald Trump. What a joke. Now, Joe Biden...
And what's interesting about what she said, we saw them say this on The View. We saw all of these people literally... I mean, they were literally trying to do that. That was literally the talking point. Let me ask you guys this question. Can people name the amount of people that they have seen or heard say something outlandish, like if Joe Biden didn't have a brain inside of his head, or if they rolled Joe Biden in on a casket, I would vote for him instead of Donald Trump? How many people saw pundits, celebrities, news anchors say insanity like that? They've said insanity like that over and over. They were actually trying to get that as a talking point. It doesn't matter how bad Joe Biden is. It doesn't matter how incoherent he is. I'm still going to vote for him instead of Trump. No. If you are a reflection of what you vote for. You're a reflection of what you invest in. And if you put your support behind somebody who's incoherent, people are going to look at you and ask you, are you incoherent? Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to DC Precise and shout out to Abby Normal. What's good with y'all?
Essentially, anyone, even a fragile old man with a poor memory, is a better option than Donald Trump. What a joke. Now, Joe Biden is throwing his support around Kamala Harris to be the Democratic nominee. And if you need reminding of what Kamala Harris is like, here she is.
We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I mean, I don't understand the point that you're making.
Is Kamala Harris better than Joe Biden? Like, we literally, neither one of these people can answer coherent questions. Let me ask you guys a question. Does anybody know a question that Kamala Harris has given a coherent answer to? If you all know of an interview where Kamala Harris was coherent, or a question that Kamala Harris answered coherently, where we can take that answer and actually do something with it, please, by all means, let us know. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man, DC Precise. Make sure y'all show DC Precise some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for my man, DC Precise, funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Cash rules everything around me. Queen, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
Your favorite YouTuber's favorite YouTuber. Facts. Shout out to you, bro. Definitely appreciate it. Shout out to Torian. What's good with you, bro? Yeah. What did she say? That's a great question. I have no idea what she just said. I have no idea what she says most times when she says something. Yeah. And shout out to Shatera. There we go. Hold on real quick. Shatera said, yes, she was very clear when she said, no, she's not going to do anything specifically for black people. Facts. She surely did not stutter when she said that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Kiko. Make sure y'all show Kiko some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emojis, some ducks in the chat for Kiko funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
This is the hardest record out.
Definitely appreciate it, bro. Kiko says she answered the question if she was going to do anything for black people very clearly. Yeah, facts. And what's interesting about that, when it comes to a lot of these incoherent politicians, do you guys notice that they gain coherency very quickly when asked about anything that's going to go down for black people? Do you guys happen to notice that? If you guys notice that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't notice that, give me a thumbs down. That's one of the reasons why these people pick these DEI first blacks that they do. The DEI to symbolism to first black pipeline, a weapon of both sides of the political party to use against black people. You know what I'm saying?
What Kamala Harris is like, here she is.
We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't.
She keeps lying, saying that we've been to the border. And then she says, I haven't been to the border. I haven't been to Europe. Like, how is that a coherent answer to that question?
And if you need reminding of what Kamala Harris is like, here she is.
We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I mean, I don't understand the point that you're making. I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know?
What can be unburdened by what has been? What can be unburdened by what has been? What can be unburdened by what has been? What can be unburdened by what has been?
So now
these people aren't real. Like, there's no possible way that this can be real. Yeah, I gotta agree with Torian. If you guys agree with Torian, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Torian said her voice was shaking when she said that, which tells me that she's lying. Yeah, facts. Shout out to Kirk. Kirk says long extended commentary with statistics, personal anecdotes, and everything. Facts. She's ridiculous, man. This is ridiculous. Shout out to Kelly. What's good with it, Kelly?
We're seeing figures like Bill and Hillary Clinton throwing their support behind Kamala Harris, as well as potential rivals like California Governor Gavin Newsom supporting her. But at this stage, nothing is guaranteed, and there is every chance this will go to an open convention in August.
So then it turns to how does the convention work? At the conventions, each delegation from each state is supposed to vote.
Now, mind you, Barack Obama is advocating for an open convention. My question to you guys, is, do you all think that Kamala Harris has the electability, likability, and just general ability to be able to come out on top in an open convention? Let me know what you guys think.
Along the lines of whoever the state voted for in the primaries or caucuses that were held in that state. There's reporting today that a phone call with the 50 state chairs indicated they would all support Kamala Harris. But if another candidate does put their hand up, say that they want to be considered, there's nothing stopping them talking to those delegations as well.
Here is Sky News host James Morrow giving his analysis on Sky News this morning.
Well, I just think this is absolutely bizarre here, Pete. I mean, let's think about this here. We haven't seen the president. All we've had is this announcement basically put out on X that he is withdrawing from the race after this very long, protracted process of the last few weeks, when suddenly it became impossible to hide what everybody knew.
Yeah, I mean, this dude is speaking facts. Like, we've literally been saying this the entire time, and then you have the mainstream media coming out hiring private organizations saying that the things that we're saying are misinformation and trying to utilize government agencies to shut independent media down. You know what I'm saying? Like, make it make sense. Shout out to Kirk. Make sure you guys show Kirk some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Kirk funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the march of dimes.
Cash rules everything around me. Queen, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, yo.
Yeah. Shout out to Kirk. Make sure y'all show him some love. Kirk says, that's like the C- college students that never completed the homework, but knows 2 quotes from Derrida and tries to deconstruct everything. Yeah, absolutely, bro. Absolutely. They really, this, like I said, this is a historic and monumental ball dropping that will be remembered forever in Democrat history as long as there are Democrats. This is a monumental level of failure. This is a monumental level of failing to plan. This is just, I don't even know. Honestly, this is incompetency on a grand scale is what it is. I honestly don't even know what else to say
about the president. So, you know, like, I think it's a fascinating moment, but I also think I have a lot of ridiculous about the way democracy is being done here. You know, the Democrat leadership, they all knew there was a problem, and all the stories have come out that they knew that there was a problem. And yet they still put the American people and their voters through a primary. 14 million people voted. And then now that there's a problem, that problem can't be hidden anymore. The donor class, the oligarchs, you know what I mean? The Democrats are supposed to be about the little guy, are in there pressuring the president and, you know, leaking and creating a situation where he essentially has to go and he's forced out. And I just think it's a pretty bizarre situation.
Absolutely, 110%. If you guys agree with Solo, give me a thumbs up. Biden, I believe not just Biden, but Biden and the Democratic Party just realize that the world is correct. Yeah, facts. Shout out to DC Precise. DC Precise says, funny thing, Rob, that's her nickname, the ball dropper. Oh, man. Wow. She's not a carpetbagger. She's a teabagger, huh? Shout out to Michael R. Michael R says, saw that on Sabby Sab yesterday. She's a hack. Bro, this is terrible. This is terrible, man. Again, all of the people who let me ask you guys this. How many people feel that there should be an accounting of misleadership? If you all agree that there should be an accounting of misleadership, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. And for the accounting of misleadership, everyone who misled with their discussions and talking points about the condition of Joe Biden and the Democrat path to victory in 2024, drop who you all feel purposely misled people.
For America to be in.
There's all the big entertainment heads, Netflix, etc., over in California.
Well, it's not just them. I mean, it's big money, hedge funds, you know, big corporate people. It's a real sort of behind the scenes thing. This is not democracy. This is oligarchy happening here. And they foisted Joe Biden on the people, despite knowing that he had trouble. And now they've got these 2 existential questions, Pete, that they have to answer. Number one, if Joe Biden is not able to run for president again, why is he fit to serve now and for the next 6 months until whoever wins?
I asked the same question, and I agree. I need you guys to help me out in the comment section. Shout out to the replay viewers. Also, that would be nice. Timestamp this and answer this question. What's the remedy for that? And why isn't that question being asked at all? If you guys pay attention, if you watch MSNBC, CNN, other news organizations or agencies like that, they're not even touching that question. They're not even touching that question. Shout out to Shatera. Shatera says, yesterday my cousins were saying that she has to step up. My question was, step up and do what? She has no viability. Yeah, I agree. I don't think that she even knows. Kamala Harris would be a remote control candidate. I honestly don't know if she even knows what she would need to step up and do. I don't even think that she has the capability to know or understand that. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Is inaugurated. And now the other thing is, if they go to an open convention or they don't choose Kamala Harris, then was she ever qualified to be VP? So there's a lot of problems that they now have to sort of answer.
Do you think they can win?
I absolutely think they can win. I have no doubt they can win. Because, and I don't know how last, we'll get an absolute bounce here. You've got a lot of people here who were on the Democrat side who were saying that, they knew that they were going to vote for Biden really reluctantly, and whether or not they were going to do it all, simply because, they knew he was too old, that he was on the decline, which is a sad thing, a terrible thing for anybody who goes through that and any family who goes through that. But, it's not the right role for somebody to be president.
There we go. We'll take care of that. We'll take care of Jenny Jones. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed the like button, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media.
It's the right role for them to be sitting on a porch, and enjoying their grandkids and looking back at their life. And so there's an enthusiasm that's going to be opened up by this.
So do you think the Democrats now can turn that age argument against Donald Trump?
Well, I don't think so, because Donald Trump, he just literally dodged a bullet or copped a little bit of the bullet. But I mean, like the vigor that he has shown in surviving that assassination attempt and then getting up there on the stage and then getting out there on the campaign trail, we'll know people in our lives who are.
Well, I don't think we need to listen to any more of this. What we're going to listen to next is we're gonna take a listen to what some of these quote unquote Democrat misleaders are saying. Guess who we got? Do you guys remember I want to say maybe like just last week, I did a video with Jasmine Crockett. If you guys remember that video with Jasmine Crockett, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't, then give me a thumbs down. In that video with Jasmine Crockett was literally attempting to shame people and telling people to give your unrelenting loyalty and support to Joe Biden, which, mind you, right, Joe Biden didn't even have for himself. He quit. Now we got your girl Joy Reid with Jasmine Crockett, and they're going to tell us what to do as far as when it comes to going to the polls. Harris begins to lock in key delegates and key endorsements. What key delegates and what key endorsements has Kamala Harris locked in and gotten as of today, 7/22/2024? Somebody let me know in the comment section.
Right now, I would like to bring in our friend and one of the favorites that people love to watch on this here network, Jasmine Crockett, Congresswoman from the great state of Texas. And Congresswoman, welcome. And I understand you've just gotten off of two big calls. There was the big Win with Black Women call, which lots of people are now talking about, which busted its capacity. So Black women uniting for Vice President Harris. But
so again, nobody's as much talk of colorism as you hear and exoticals and all of the nonsense that people talk about. Why are all these people getting together on this call for that particular type of individual? That's my question. If people believe what they say they believe on YouTube, why are they getting together for Kamala Harris? The biracials, quote unquote, that they be talking about, the exoticals, quote unquote, that they be talking about, outraged by when YouTubers talk about men dealing with them particular type of women, and then these women get together amongst themselves and also choose that kind of woman for a position. I don't understand. Does that make any sense? If that makes any sense, give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't make any sense, give me a thumbs down. To me, this is a contradiction.
But also with the vice president. Do you want to tell us anything about that call with the vice president?
So just so that everyone is clear, I was never one of those leaky people. So no, I have nothing to say about my phone call with the vice president, other than what I'm sure the American people already know, which is that I stand 10 toes down with Vice President Kamala Harris to become the next president.
Now, just last week, she was 10 toes down with Joe Biden to become the actual president. We saw this. The video is up. Change of heart all of a sudden. Shout out to Torian. Torian said, "You're a man, a black man at that. You never question this." Yeah, facts. If you listen to MSNBC, if you listen to Joy Reid, me simply questioning this, quote, according to Joy Reid, this makes you white inside. No, this makes me need you to answer the question. Is actually what it what it makes me. You know what I'm saying? We need to ask these things. There should be. How many people believe that there should be an enforcement of logic, rationale, and facts? If you guys feel that that's important, give me a thumbs down. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. I believe that should be. All questions should be welcome. If someone is kind enough to ask you a question, you should be kind enough to answer the question. Shout out to KO Kid Fit. Make sure you guys show my man KO Kid Fit some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for KO Kid Fit.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Cash rules everything around me. Green, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, yo.
Yeah, I gotta agree, bro. KO Kid Fit says, good point. She changes loyalties easily. Shout out to Ryan Glenn. What's good with you, bro? Facts. And if you ask me, she's not the only one. So based on what we saw with how the Democrats pumped and dumped Joe Biden, to me, right, what we're looking at is a political culture now that the Democrats are starting to form of behavior that they encourage of pump and dump and a lack of loyalty. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Of the United States. I made it very clear very early. If Joe is out, there's only one person that I will be working for. So this idea of throwing out Joe Manchin and all these other people, listen, if y'all decide to go any other way, have fun with that. But the only person that I will get out there and break my back for and campaign for and believe in
is an Indian woman. Fist pump. Pump your fist in the air. Pump your fist in the air. Now, here's my question. Has Jasmine Crockett, other than the false claim of Kamala Harris being a black woman, is there any other qualifier that that Jasmine Crockett has given of why you should do anything other than the couch? Shout out to Deneen. Let me know.
And that I will get out there and break my back for and campaign for and believe in, who is capable and qualified, is Vice President Kamala Harris.
You mentioned Joe Manchin. I can now confirm that, and it was said apparently on ABC, the great Donna Brazile, our good sister, former head of the DNC, she has confirmed that she did get a call from.
Now, what are the capabilities? Do you guys notice in the last video when they were talking about Kamala Harris, they have not listed any capabilities or qualifiers? Now, my question for you guys is, why is it that they keep not listing capabilities or qualifiers? Yeah, shout out to Torian. Linebacker built did the same thing with Bernie Sanders. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Do you all think that that's why Bernie Sanders chose her? Weaponization of DEI. Weaponization of DEI. Meritorious manumission is what it was called in the old days. I'm going to choose a non-threatening slave that supports me to release. Old school DEI is meritorious manumission. The Meritorious Manumission Act of 1812 is the predecessor to DEI. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Senator Joe Manchin to inquire about the nomination. I will note for our audience, of course, that he did leave the Democratic Party, so it's not clear how he would do that, but she did.
Absolutely, Torian. I agree 110%. If you guys agree with Torian, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. She doesn't have any qualifiers outside of going to Harvard and pledging AKA. And let's just say we don't even talk about qualifiers, right? What about individual and unique wow appeal? See, because I think that there are some women who could be competitive, but Kamala Harris isn't one of them. She's not one of them. Like I said before, I don't think that Oprah or Michelle Obama would win, but I think that they would be able to be more competitive than Kamala Harris. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that Kamala Harris is going to be competitive at all. She doesn't have a wild personality. She doesn't have a following. She doesn't have fans. She doesn't have any popularity. She doesn't have any of that. She's got nothing going in her favor. Nothing. You know what I'm saying? And if you got nothing going in your favor and your approval rating's already low, the only question we going to ask is how low do you go till you touch the flow? You know what I'm saying?
You would actually have to be a Democrat to do that. So she said, and she's not sure what he was thinking, but he did make that inquiry. Let's just talk about, because you've been one of the members who's been very clear that the push to get Joe Biden to stand down was not something that your constituents were in support of. I know that we were both in New Orleans. I think we both spoke to a lot of civilians, Black voters who were very angry about it, and I think you agreed with some of them in some ways. What do you make of how this process played out, and are you confident that there is no way to stand in the way of Vice President Harris being the nominee? It seems like she's getting all these state party endorsements.
I am. Who's endorsing her? We're gonna keep trying. I'm gonna drop a video about every endorsement that I hear about. So if you're not in the Discord, hit the Discord. If you guys can help me out, try to, you know what I'm saying, let me know who's doing that and who's not, because we got to see who's actually endorsing Kamala Harris to see how legitimate this is and see exactly what it is that they've said about Kamala Harris. But I'm telling you, this is probably going to be a record break. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of records. There's going to be a lot of historicals and firsts when it comes to this election. I can tell you that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Torian. Torian says she already told us how she felt when she was running for president a few years ago and lost by a landslide. One of the first to drop out of the race. Yeah, facts. Oh, man, that's wild. Shout out to Cameron. Cameron said Joy's hairline is like an open... Karen said, Joy's hairline is like an open motorcycle visor. Yo, that's wild. That's wild.
I am not confident. I will be working and working and working. As you mentioned, there was the other call with Win with Black Women, which is actually still going on right now. I've been in touch with those delegates that have pledged themselves to President Biden in my district. We are in the process of contacting all of the Texas delegation. I am not confident at all because, as it was laid out earlier, I do know that, behind closed doors, while I won't name names, that there were people that were absolutely like, it can't be the vice president. So in one breath, they were saying, the president needs to be out. In the next breath, they were also saying it can't be her. And so it was one of the reasons that I was very fearful that we would end up falling into this trap of chaos, which, we have done a really good job in the House of making it clear that the chaotic party is the Republicans, as we've watched them perform as straight up class.
How are the Republican? Okay. You guys to listen to what she's saying, and I want you guys to answer this question. Is what she's saying at this current moment consistent with reality? She said that the Democrats are not a chaotic party. They are completely unorganized and all over the place right now. What is organized about the Democrats right now? The Democrats are completely unorganized and all over the place and extremely vulnerable as a result of their own incompetence. They are absolutely 110% chaotic, but she's denying reality.
That the chaotic party is the Republicans.
No. The Democrats are completely chaotic right now. They don't even have, technically, as of right now, they don't even have somebody running. All of this is just Kamala Harris hasn't gotten all the delegates, right? Would you guys agree? Technically, they don't even have anybody running. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen said, "Oh, it's chaotic, honey. Both of y'all." Yeah, facts. More, if you ask me, more, right now at this current moment, more so the Democrats. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Deneen. Deneen says Biden didn't come in front of a camera to make the announcement. How do we know it came from him? They have Joe locked up in a closet somewhere. Yeah, or something else. Got him locked up in something, propped up so he don't fall down. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Cameron. Cameron said, last time I saw Jasmine, her wig was crooked. So what she might mean is she's organized today. Shout out to Unsunken One. What's good with it, bro? Torian said both are chaotic. That RNC showed how chaotic they are and that unaliving attempt. Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree. Absolutely.
Also saying it can't be her. And so it was one of the reasons that I was very fearful that we would end up falling into this trap of chaos, which, you know, we have done a really good job in the House of making it clear that the chaotic party is the Republicans, as we've watched them perform as straight up clowns this entire, year and a half. So the fact that we would eat our own was really disappointing, especially since I know that it wouldn't be kind of this smooth transition over to the other person that is on the ticket, which is the vice president. But nevertheless, everybody knows that I was doing everything that I could for the president. I'm going to do everything that I can for the vice president. I was just in Phoenix with the second gentleman where we were campaigning. I have gone around this country. I've been to Philly, I think 4 times. I've been to Michigan. So a lot of—
Has she listed any qualifications yet or any reason why we should vote for Kamala Harris other than the fact that they don't like Trump? Let me ask you guys this question. Have you been sold yet? Has she provided anything that has made you want to do any further research or anything that's piqued your interest?
The people that were coming out and had all these opinions, I hadn't seen them in the streets fighting for this. So now that they got their way, my only request is, will you finally lace up your shoes and do some work? If it was the president that was the problem, then fine, get to work. But we have to win. I mean, I appreciate you, Joy, at all times. You probably were one of the very—
Shout out to Black Star Racer. What's good with you, bro?
First people to ever bring up Project 2025. You have always made it clear that there really wasn't a decision to make. I mean, it's democracy or a dictatorship, right? It's a family man or a felon. Like, you made the choice very clear, but seemingly some people were struggling with that. And, I can tell you that I know this vice president. I know her heart. The fact that I did a phone call from her, I'm just a freshman member of Congress, y'all. But it tells you the type of person that she is. And I can't really say that I know for sure that I would be here today without the inspiration of Kamala Harris, which I was able to share with her.
Has she given a qualification yet? Has she given a solid reason of why anybody should or shouldn't get off the couch? Has she sold you all on Kamala Harris yet? If you're sold on Kamala Harris yet, put some money, put a money bag in the chat. If you're not sold on Kamala Harris, throw the couch in the chat.
Soon upon me being sworn in, the fact that as a young Black female lawyer, I looked to her when she first became an elected prosecutor in the Bay Area. And I've been following her career the entire time. So I look forward to this fight. But if anybody thinks this is going to be easy, it's not. And we need all hands on deck.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, thank you. As somebody who, when I first got the readout, Kamala, the Vice President Kamala Harris was one of the kind people who reached out. She's one of those people. So I think people are going to get to know who she is. There's going to be a lot of attention around her coming up. And I think that people will find out the lovely person that she is. And I think people will be very interested to hear her thoughts on Donald Trump. I certainly would like to see that debate. I think people might even want to see that on pay-per-view and pay money for it, because that's going to be epic. Congresswoman, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Sending it back to you.
All right.
You can sell tickets to it, Rachel. People are going to want to see it.
I'm telling you, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do about the debate. Donald Trump is already complaining that this is somehow, the Republicans are.
I just got to say this, man. Rachel Maddow and Joy Reid is a very, very, very odd combination of women. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know.
Complaining that this is somehow against the rules and this is unfair. Donald Trump was posting online that this is totally not cool because they just did a whole convention that was about running against somebody.
So we about to take a look at see what Jim Clyburn said. I can't deal with them two anymore. I can't deal with that much Joy Reid and then followed by Joy Reid, Rachel Maddow. Like I'm not even gonna say anything. I'm not even gonna go there. I just can't do that. I apologize to y'all, man. I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Can't do that. There's only so much of certain things that I can take. You know what I'm saying?
Joining me now is a longtime ally and friend of President Biden, South Carolina Congressman Jim Clyburn, who's already endorsed Vice President Harris for the Democratic presidential nomination. Congressman Clyburn, thank you.
So how did Jim Clyburn get out ahead of this so quickly to already? Yeah, it's a system overload. Shout out to Black Spider. Black Spider says, ask them what is a woman. See, it's bad when I'm looking at women and I start asking that question. That's when I got to turn it off. That's when I got to turn it off, man. That's when I got to turn it off. You're not about to scramble my brains up looking the way you look on TV. Nah. Mm-mm. You know what I'm saying? No. 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 You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Red Cafe. I like the pretty gang. That girl from the pretty gang. I don't like that there. Like, shout out to Chief Keef. That's that stuff I don't like. I don't like. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't like that. You know.
With us. Just this morning, you reiterated your support for President Biden's candidacy. You said Democrats should look for ways to coalesce around him. Obviously, you were instrumental in his victory the first time around. Were you surprised by his decision to drop out?
Well, thank you very much for having me. No, I was not surprised at all. This morning when I made that statement.
Really? When did it? So Jim Clyburn said that he was not surprised by the decision that Joe Biden made to drop out. When were they going to tell anybody? When were they going to be transparent with this? When was they going to be transparent with this? You know what I'm saying? Now, mind you, just last week, Jim Clyburn was sitting up there trying to shame people into supporting Joe Biden. How many people would say that Clyburn is absolutely 100% one of the ringleaders in attempting to mislead people this election cycle?
Surprised by his decision to drop out?
Well, thank you very much for having me. No, I was not surprised at all. This morning when I made that statement, I made it and followed it closely with saying that if he were to change his mind, I would change mine. But I've been saying now for several weeks that if for any reason President Biden were to decide not to run, that I thought that Vice President Harris should be our choice. And that's who I would be.
Now, why? Why should Now, I want you guys to just pay attention to how they're trying to throw this narrative. They're just trying to throw this narrative onto everybody as if we just have to sit here and accept this. Why should we accept Kamala Harris? Because you say so? Jim Clyburn is literally the dude that swears at people when asked about reparations. I don't think that there's anybody in the chat that supports Jim Clyburn. I don't think that there's anybody in the chat that supports Kamala Harris. And I think that there's more people outside that are not in this chat that also are not supporting Jim Clyburn or Kamala Harris. Is Jim Clyburn a misleader? How many people feel that Jim Clyburn is a misleader?
Supporting. And that's, I said that this morning, last night, and I stand by that. He decided not to run. And so I decided to support Vice President Harris.
And you have endorsed Harris already today. You've also previously warned your party about trying to bypass Harris for a different candidate. How concerned are you tonight about that possibility? Do you see anybody on the horizon who you think might try to run?
Well, you know, I also said that our Rules Committee, the Democratic National Committee, Rules Committee, put together a process. And they must have had something like this in mind, because the process that spells out what you do if you wish to run for the presidency. And in this instance, all you need to do is gather 300 signatures, no more than 50 from a single state, and you can have your name placed in nomination. Go to work and do that within the next few hours or next few days, and you may have your name placed into nomination, and then start working the phones like everybody else. Now, that is the process that's in place. So when I hear people calling for a new truncated process, the Rules Committee put that in place from the beginning. And so if people were to just pause a little bit, take a look at the rules, it's there, laid out for anybody to see, and anybody can participate in.
Well, as you mentioned,
I want people to pay very close attention to this. The Democrats' biggest concern is to beat Trump so that they can push their agenda. The Democrats are not concerned with beating Trump and pushing our agenda. The Democrats are trying to create a false sense of urgency for you all, but make no mistake, there is no false sense of urgency for us. Because the Democrats do not plan on moving forward or doing anything that would check off any item on our agenda. They want to be in power so that they can do their agenda. And they've dropped the ball, and they're trying to make it so that they're creating a sense of urgency for us, as if their calamity is our emergency. And that is not the case at all. That is not the case at all.
Sources tell my colleague Jake Tapper that West Virginia senator, who's now an independent, Joe Manchin, is considering re-registering as a Democrat running for president. What's your thinking on that?
Well, he's free to do that. And I suspect that Vice President Harris will welcome him into the contest, and that's as it should be. It also so happens that he preceded me on Jake Tapper's show this morning, saying something just the opposite. So I guess times change, even in short order, and people's minds will change as well. In fact, he swore this morning he had no interest in running for president.
Congressman Clyburn, some black voters have expressed to CNN that they're not confident or not sure.
So here we go with the black. This is the DEI. You guys see it? This is the DEI. You guys see it? I'm as a white person who owns this media outlet, I'm going to pick a black person and ask this black person unprovable questions about other black people to be the black proxy. You guys see the weaponized DEI? This is what I'm talking about right here. So now what's interesting about this is that you wouldn't see this dude right here ask a white person this question. And you also wouldn't see him ask a qualified black person who other black people respect. Hence the DEI. Do y'all get it? If y'all get it, throw some flames in the chat. If y'all don't get it, give me a thumbs down. This is the DEI. Didn't earn it. Did Jim Clyburn earn any of your respect? Nope. He earned Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Bill and Hillary Clinton's respect. He didn't earn it. He didn't earn any of our respect, and yet he's being referenced as if he's a quote-unquote respected individual. DEI all day. Weaponized DEI.
Sure that the nation would vote for a woman of color to be president. What do you say to that concern?
Statistically, there's never been a black woman. Statistically, there's never been a white woman. Women are what, 0-2 at presidential run attempts, right? Actually, more than they're O and X. They've never won however many women attempts at a president that there are, right? All women are O and whatever. White women, mixed women, black women, Asian women, they're all 0% successful at running. for president. That's huge. That's huge. That, to me, would answer the question about not only how the nation feels about electing a woman, but also about electing, as he put it, quote unquote, a woman of color, i.e., a constructed black woman, because Kamala Harris is a constructed black woman. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Congressman Clyburn, some black voters have expressed to CNN that they're not confident or not sure that the nation would vote for a woman of color to be president. What do you say to that concern?
Well, you know, you're never confident as to what the voters will do in a set of circumstances. I am confident of this as well.
That's not true. You can confidently say that the voters will vote for an old white man because literally all the presidents except for one have been old white men. Would you guys agree? And this is just math. This is math. If you look at all of the statistical, you could literally say, I have a little bit more confidence that an incumbent president will win the next election because incumbent presidents have a high percentage of winning. There are indicators where you can say you have confidence versus you have less confidence. Kamala Harris has no indicators where anybody can say they have confidence that she can win in this category. There are none. She has none. Jim Clyburn will not list any. Watch, as this goes on, he won't list any because there are none. There's none. There's zero.
You will never know until you get into the contest and you run the race. To sit on the sidelines and say, I'm not sure. My dad cautioned me against that from a little child. You get into the contest and run the race. I remember when I got elected to Congress, a lot of
you get into the contest, you run the race, you train, and you watch the tapes of your competition. Now, here goes my question. When it comes to Kamala Harris's competition, what do the tapes say? What do the tapes say? And shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please take a moment and smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit the bell, and also share the stream to your social media.
people discouraged me from running because I had run for other offices and had lost. And one friend said to me, you've lost 3 races, 3 strikes and you're out. And that's a baseball rule. You don't live your life by baseball rules. And so you can't not say, I can't, if you've never tried. So we get in here, we make the best case. I do think she's the best candidate, best prepared candidate at this particular juncture.
Why? The only reason why they're saying that she's the best quote unquote prepared candidate is because they're calling the money that Biden had in his war chest the preparation. That's the only reason why they're saying that she's the best prepared candidate. How is she prepared? Why is she the best? Exactly. What makes her the best? How is she displayed more competence, and in what areas is she better than not only other Democrat candidates, but Donald Trump? What makes her competitive? Furthermore, what makes her electable?
I think the American people will see that in her, and they will compare her to the alternative. Just as Joe Biden often asks people to do with him and Donald Trump, she gets that opportunity. And I do believe that the American people see her stacked up against Donald Trump and his 2025 project and what he has in store for the American people.
So what they're doing is they're not. I want you guys to pay very close attention. The Democrat strategy is to run whatever candidate that they pick, and as of right now, is looking like Kamala Harris. They're going to act like Trump doesn't exist, and they're trying to run this candidate against Project 2025. This is what the new gaslighting scheme is going to be. We're running against Project 2025. That's what it is. Okay?
She is going to win this race, and she is going to win it with massive support. Not just from other Democrats across the board and independents. I've already seen, I don't know if it's true or not, I'm very leery about stuff I see online these days, that some PAC associated with Nikki Haley just endorsed her. I don't know if that's true or not, but I would not be surprised.
Shout out to Michael R. Michael R said, Rob, what do you think of the Republicans threatening legal action to keep Biden as a nominee? I think it's interesting. I don't know if they'll be able to do that. However, it would definitely cause even more problems, which is not what the Democrats need right now. I'm actually interested to see what happens with it. You know what I'm saying? They're going to do whatever they can to make it not happen for the Democrats and give them as hard of a time as they can all the way to the end. So this is, if they do that, it's just more of the conservatives being aggressive, like how we see, and more more of the Democrats being reactive, not proactive. If this right here isn't the ultimate validation of Democrats being reactive, not proactive, I don't know what is. Shout out to Greets. What's good with it, bro? I don't know what is. You know what I'm saying?
Surprise. And I think you'll see a lot of that taking place between now and election day.
Do you have any thoughts on who she should select as a vice president, as a running mate? And also, do you think she should name that person relatively soon before the convention?
Well, I don't know as to what the time frame ought to be. But I know there are a lot of people out there. As Manchin said this morning, he likes the governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro. I like him too. Andrew Beshear, Kentucky. I don't know Beshear as well as I knew his father before him. This is my 84th birthday, so I've been around for a long time. So
his 84th birthday. He's not very far off from Biden. Now, despite the fact that Jim Clyburn may not say a lot of things that we think are beneficial, being an 84-year-old man, Jim Clyburn knows that he's in better cognitive condition than Joe Biden. So why would he? You got to ask these questions. You know what I'm saying? You got to ask these questions.
I remember Beshear's father, and I know who he is. I don't know him very well. But I also know Roy Cooper up in North Carolina, who is the two-term governor in North Carolina. North Carolina is a swing state, whether we call it that or not. Obama carried it the first time, lost it the second time. Joe Biden came within 3 or 4 percentage votes of carrying it this time. So North Carolina brings about 15 electoral votes. It will be a very good contest for us if you had Roy Cooper on the ticket. We've got a great crop of governors, and there are some business people whose names I've heard who might be looked upon as that as well.
Jim Clyburn is a coward, and I want you guys to pay very close attention to how he took no definitive position on anything. He took no definitive position on anything. The only definitive position that he took is that he believes everyone should get behind Kamala Harris. Now, there's this video here, and what's interesting about it is that it's saying that the Democrats believe that Kamala Harris has momentum. I disagree. I don't think that the Democrats have momentum at all. However, there's this, and we gotta do another. We're gonna have to try to suffer through looking at Rachel Maddow again. Some people might like looking at it. I can't really deal with Rachel Maddow, looking at her all like that. But we're gonna look at this pathway. We're going to look at this poll pathway and see if there's a possibility of how Kamala Harris might somehow be able to not only be competitive with Trump, but beat Trump. Me personally, I don't see it. I don't know how that's going to be. There you go. You know what I'm saying? That's not good. Not good right there. You know what I'm saying?
Reporting tonight on the meeting that took place last night in Delaware between President Biden and 2 of his closest and longest serving advisors, Steve Ricchetti and Mike Donnellan. According to Politico,
Rachel Maddow looked like one. Rachel Maddow looked like one of them people that are swimmers that everybody's upset about. Y'all know what I'm talking about?
This is pretty stark reporting. The 2 men, Donnellan and Ricchetti, presented President Biden with, quote, new concerns from lawmakers and updates on a fundraising operation that had slowed considerably. Now get this. They also brought with them new internal polling done by the Biden campaign, which showed that Joe Biden's path to victory was, quote, gone. According.
Okay, so here's my question. If Joe Biden's path to victory is gone, where is the path for Kamala Harris. What does Kamala Harris's path look like? If this is what they're saying, if this internal polling says that Joe Biden doesn't have a path for Kamala Harris, Joe Biden has a higher approval rating than Kamala Harris. What does a Kamala Harris path to victory look like? Let me know what you guys think. You guys see this, right? This is why I'm so interested in these numbers. Shout out to Deneen. Deneen says so many black folk are terrified of Project 2025. Let me ask you guys this question. Do you guys think that that's because YouTube is really pushing the channel on YouTube called the Defiant Lawyers? Because I'm telling you, man, the Defiant Lawyers drop a video, and I mean, man, they have you thinking that you're watching a horror movie talking about Project 2025. And I mean, they get like tens of thousands of views on their videos, and that channel just popped up out of nowhere. How many people have seen the Defiant Lawyers? If you guys have seen the Defiant Lawyers, if their videos have popped up on your homepage, give me a thumbs up. If you guys haven't, then give me a thumbs down. I'll tell you another channel that popped up out of nowhere that YouTube is just giving massive amounts of views to is Reese Waters. Like, who are these people? Where'd they come from? Who are these channels? You know what I'm saying? Who's watching the videos? You know what I'm saying? Defiant Lawyers and Reese Waters. When I heard the one guy from the Defiant Lawyers quote Roland Martin as a quote unquote good media source, I was already done, but I was done for sure after that.
To 5 people familiar with the matter. When President Biden first started fielding questions about whether or not he would heed the calls from some in his party that he should not be heading the ticket heading into November, that somebody else would have a better chance at taking on Donald Trump, one of the things that he said was that he would get out.
Shout out to Win Lose the Rug. Win Lose the Rug said, "Who is Reese Waters, cuh? Who is Reese?" Man, you got to watch. I believe it or not, I actually like Reese Waters' videos. The honest truth about Reese Waters, though, is that he's a Democrat shill. But I like his videos, though. Like, I like his content. Like, dude actually has some good content, and it'd be funny a lot of times. But he's just an extraordinary Democrat shill. He's just an extraordinary Democrat shill. The Defiant Lawyers are extreme Omega level fear mongers. They're not as entertaining as Reese Waters. I'm not gonna lie. When it comes to Reese Waters, he's funny. He makes a good YouTube video. You know what I'm saying? I can actually watch his videos. I know that based on the things that he says, he's an absolute Democrat shill. You know what I'm saying? But the Defiant Lawyers, man, fear mongers. Fear mongers. You know what I'm saying? You guys haven't seen if you guys have seen the Defiant Lawyers pop up in your feed, give me a thumbs up. If you guys have not, then give me a thumbs down. I'm gonna put some of their videos in the Discord. Y'all will see.
If he believed, if he was brought data.
Matter of fact, I tell you, we won't even put the videos in the Discord. We'll start reacting to some of them. Now, I probably won't be able to keep up with them because Reese Waters puts out a video every day, and a lot of times, like, I want to do topics that they're not really talking about. But we'll check out a couple. You know what I'm saying? We'll check out a couple for sure. What y'all think? How many people will be down to watch them reactions? If y'all down to watch them reactions, throw some flames in the chat. Oh shit! Hold on.
With the matter. When President Biden first started fielding questions about whether or not he would heed the calls from some in his party that he should not be heading the ticket heading into November, that somebody else would have a better chance at taking on Donald Trump, one of the things that he said was that he would get out if he believed, if he...
I want to know what calculations, what math show Kamala Harris as a better candidate against Trump than Joe Biden. Let me ask you guys this question. This is a question that people haven't asked. Who do you all think has a better chance of winning? Kamala Harris or Joe Biden? Who do you think would be more competitive against Trump? Kamala Harris or Joe Biden? Yeah. Shout out to Torian. Torian says, I'm familiar with Reese Waters. He blew up rather quickly. I remember coming across his channel when he was at like 60K. In a month and a half, he's near 120K. Yeah, I same here. Same here. I don't know. Somebody make that make sense. Somebody make the math on that make sense. Somebody make the math on that make sense. Make the Reese Waters and Defiant Lawyers math make sense.
It was brought data that showed that he did not have a path to victory, that he did not have a way to win. Again, Politico.com, this is not NBC News reporting, we have not confirmed this, but Politico.com reporting tonight that that data was delivered to him last night at his home in Delaware, where, of course, the president has been isolating with COVID. That is internal Biden polling. We haven't seen that internal polling, so we can't confirm it either publicly or through our own reporting.
Yeah.
But we've had Steve Kornacki.
And I'm not, like I said, I like his videos, bro. I think he's hilarious. And when he's roasting the right people, he goes in. He goes in. You know what I'm saying? He definitely goes in. But man, he's not gonna criticize the Democrats. He's not. You know what I'm saying? It's always going to always be positivity about the Democrats and never any negativity. And you're going to get the fear mongering. But I like Reese Waters, though. Yeah, he petty. He petty. You know what I'm saying? He petty. He hilarious. I'm telling you, he's funny. I like his videos. The one video that he did about the RNC being ghetto, I was dying laughing. I was dying laughing, but he definitely vote blue no matter who. You know what I'm saying?
Closely watching the polls around this decision. Steve Kornacki, MSNBC national political correspondent, has been looking at the polling that was staring President Biden in the face heading into this decision, but also the bits and pieces of polling that we've got about how a presidential candidacy of Kamala Harris might look a little different.
So now we're going to look at how the alleged polling of Kamala Harris is going to look in comparison to Trump. Now, my question for you guys is, how do you all think that they're going to present the potential polling of Kamala Harris and Trump? Do you guys think that they're going to present her as having higher numbers than Joe Biden? If you guys think they're going to present her with having higher numbers than Joe Biden, then give me a thumbs up. If you guys think that they're going to present her with having lower numbers than Joe Biden, and give me a thumbs down.
The polling than what President Biden was up against head-to-head with. Steve, what have you been looking at today?
Yeah, I guess a couple of things, Rachel. Let's call it up and look at it this way. First of all, we've just been tracking. This is an average of all of the polls nationally that have been conducted since that debate at the end of June that set all of this in motion. So nationally, the average had Biden running 2 points behind Trump. Now, a couple things to say about that. First of all, of course, we know that back in 2020, when Biden defeated Trump, never in 2020 did Trump ever lead Biden in the polling average. Biden led it from start to finish that year. This time around, here's Trump leading Biden in a polling average. And frankly, we've seen this for a long time now. It was the end of last summer, the end of the summer of 2023, in our poll, our NBC poll, that for the first time, Donald Trump drew level with Joe Biden, and he pulled ahead of him. And he's been there in our poll and many other polls since then. So in some ways, looking at these numbers since the debate, just I think kind of looked up in that debate and said, whoa, Biden, not quite what we expected in terms of his public performance. You certainly heard Democrats making comments.
How is it not what they expected? How is Biden's debate performance not what anybody expected? I don't understand that. Yeah, shout out to Cameron. If you guys agree with Cameron, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Cameron says that poll is a bold-faced lie. Yeah, it looks a lot different than that poll from the Wall Street Journal that we had earlier, which is why every stream going forward, we're going to be looking at and checking these polls.
Like that. I think one of the things that happened was that the numbers didn't change dramatically from that debate. The polling numbers did not change dramatically, at least nationally. But I think a lot of Democrats also looked at them almost for the first time in a year and started to take them a lot more seriously, because we've been seeing numbers like this for a year or so now in the polls. Now, they did get a little bit worse for Biden nationally, and we do have swing state polls, and we've seen a number of swing state polls where Biden's down mid-single digits, somewhere he's down high single digits. So, there's that as well, certainly, that complicates the path to 270. When you see that the article there saying the path is gone, I would just caution, it will forever be unprovable, and that's always going to be a subjective statement there, the path was gone. just as a reference point, I think always remember.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, which is interesting because if we're dealing with math and we're dealing with numbers, then why would you make a decision based on a subjective assumption? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, how many people agree with Rhonda? Rhonda says, I think they're going to focus on the large number of black women that support her. Now, here goes my question. Do black women that don't support her feel represented? Is my question. I don't, and I'm also curious. Do you all think that anyone is concerned about the representation of black women who are not in support of Kamala Harris? Let me know what you guys think.
In the middle of October 2016, the entire political world, including Donald Trump's own party, concluded that his path to the presidency was, quote, gone, and Donald Trump won in 2016. And I think there might be some lessons from that had Biden stayed in, might have been worth considering. But that'll always be academic. We'll never know. It'll be unprovable. But anyway, that is what the national polling's been showing. So then the question for Democrats becomes, okay, if Kamala Harris does become the Democratic candidate, does that change things? So the same polls that produce this average since the debate in the Biden-Trump race, what do they show when Harris is substituted in? A difference, but it's a difference of a point. The Biden at 45, Harris.
How? Where do they get that? Where do they get that number from? How did they get that? Where did these calculations come from? Do you guys see these numbers on the screen? Shout out to Cameron. Where did they get this from? How? Where is the formulas and the math and the work of how this was calculated?
In these same polls, an average 46%, 47% in both of them. So you look at this, and Kamala Harris is not entering, at least in the head-to-head standpoint, with an obvious.
Let me ask you guys this. If Kamala Harris has a lower approval rating than Joe Biden, which we've seen evidence of time and time again, if you watch past streams, you will see this evidenced and referenced multiple times. How can she start out with a higher percentage vote support than Joe Biden? Does that make any sense?
Pretty close to the same in terms of a starting point for Harris. Also, just the basic impression of these folks. So Joe Biden, this is the average when you ask that question. Do you have a favorable, unfavorable view? Biden, 36, 57, been seeing numbers like this for a long time. Obviously, these are very parallel. What are they for Kamala? In the same set of polls?
When did this Kamala Harris's was lower than Joe Biden's? Like, okay, shout out to DBB. What's good with it?
6 goes up to 38, 57 comes down to 52. But, take a step back. Those are not strong numbers. She doesn't enter the race with strong numbers on that basic question. What's the comparison to Donald Trump here? Trump averaging 41 favorable, 55 unfavorable. Also not strong numbers. A tick, though, above where both Biden and Harris are. Again, this is the starting point for Kamala Harris. The big question here is going to be what happens in the next week, the next 2 weeks, as this sort of rollout of Kamala Harris as a presidential candidate begins. Does she get a second look?
This is going to be an epic disaster. This is going to be an epic disaster. Yeah, I got 40,000 people on a Zoom call is wild. I wish I could get 40,000 people in my live chat. They had that on a Zoom call. Rhonda says you wouldn't need 40,000 people on a Zoom call strategizing if it was this close. Yeah, facts. And I got to agree with Cameron. Cameron says 38 versus 52 is more realistic. Yeah, I would agree. Shout out to Jay. Jay says, let's be clear. I remember Kamala Harris's interview and what she said she was going to do for black people. So no. Yeah, absolutely. And what I find interesting, actually, I don't find it interesting, is actually very predictable, but it's to be noted. Do you guys notice how, being that Kamala Harris is a DEI pick, when asked about quote unquote black people, she never is asked to justify or discuss why she said she's not going to do anything for black people. She's only ever asked, or people are only ever asked, how much support do black people have for her? Do you all notice that? Now, let me ask you guys a question. What's the purpose of that line of questioning?
Some voters, do these numbers improve? Is there movement in the horse race? Is there a backlash? I think you have to ask as well. Look, Kamala Harris will be the first, if she is nominated, the first candidate from either party since 1968 to be the nominee without contesting in name the presidential primaries. Is there any kind of a backlash to that, to how all of this went down? That's another question. If it's Harris or whoever it is as the Democratic nominee, this is the battleground, of course, they'd be walking into. If it's Harris versus Trump, we've talked about this a lot, the core 6 battleground states, and
I'm trying to figure it out. I want to know too. Shout out to Rhonda. Rhonda says, what happened to her having one of the lowest VP ratings in history? Yeah. Yeah, what happened to it? What happened to it? Because that's exactly what was going on. And poof, it's not like that anymore. Shout out to DeAndre. DeAndre says, only way I believe it, people really didn't want to vote for Joe because he's senile. Kamala is the best candidate because she represents what the DNC is. Maybe she has re-energized voters out there. That's a possibility. That's absolutely a possibility, bro. Definitely a possibility. You know what I'm saying? Only time will tell. Because what I would say is that if she re-energized voters, she should have a slight bump in what her numbers are, and that slight bump should remain constant. So I would say probably after the first 2 or 3 polls come out, we'll be able to see exactly how much re-energizing she's done, which would be interesting to see. You know what I'm saying? I'm since they made this swap, I'm really interested to see how this goes. I think that this is going to be a monumental failure.
Single one of these states was won by Joe Biden in 2020. 5 of them, Biden had flipped from Donald Trump in 2016. So obviously Harris, if she is the Democratic nominee, doesn't have to win all of these states. But these are the states where I referenced that polling that was showing Biden down in many cases, mid-single digits, sometimes even worse. She's going to have to win a number of these states. Maybe those 3 Midwest states that could potentially hold it for Democrats. There's different combinations here. The other challenge, though, for Harris, or again, whoever the Democratic nominee is, the polling that had come out in the last couple of weeks was also suggesting, and there wasn't enough of it to be definitive at all, but it was suggesting that Democrats were starting to get into trouble outside of the core battleground states. And in particular, there's been polling from Virginia that showed a close race, a tied race in some cases, or even Donald Trump ahead by a couple points. Virginia thought to be a solidly blue state. New Hampshire, Joe Biden won New Hampshire by 7 points back in 2020. It was thought to be safely Democratic. Polling there had a very competitive race. There were rumblings about maybe the statewide vote in Maine, maybe about Minnesota, maybe even about New Mexico. So again, there wasn't a ton of polling there. There were some indications, but that's the other order of business for whoever emerges as the Democratic candidate. Can they?
Yeah, I got to agree with Deneen. I think that Obama is not saying anything, for one, because he doesn't like Joe Biden. 2, he doesn't like Kamala Harris. 3, he doesn't want to commit because he doesn't like or support either one of them. So I think he's just kind of attempting to do his casual distancing from the entire situation so that he can kind of be not associated with the monumental failure. You know what I'm saying?
Make sure there's no trouble in those states and then solidify enough of these swing states to win the election.
Can I just ask you a technical question and just sort of setting expectations? It does seem like what's happening in Democratic politics is the consolidation around Vice President Harris is fast.
Shout out to Torian. Torian said, would you say that's smart on his part? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that would be smart or not on his part. You know what I'm saying? I think that he definitely has a strategy behind it, but would I say it's smart? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I would agree with Jay. Jay says Obama only used Biden for the white vote, and now he's done with him. Yeah, and I think that if Obama could have found a way to win without Biden, I think he would have. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Solo T. Solo T says without black support, it's over. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Have the Democrats or Kamala Harris discussed the quid pro quo of what the benefit will be for black voters, which they're only talking to black female voters right now, as far as Kamala Harris goes, have they offered any of these black women any type of recompense for voting for Kamala Harris? Or are they just saying, get excited, get happy, jump up and down and vote for your sister girl? And then like, you don't get anything. And honestly, like, she's really kind of like your half sister girl, not really your actual sister girl. Because if you was watching one of the content creators that you actually like to get gaslit by on YouTube, they would tell you stuff about black women like Kamala Harris. But we just gonna ignore all that for right now. You know what I'm saying?
Overwhelming and therefore I think likely to be pretty much complete in fairly short order. If there isn't going to be a protracted fight in the Democratic Party, and it is very clearly going to be Vice President Harris as the nominee, how soon would you expect?
No, I didn't know that. I did not know that. They said Eisenhower had a whole bunch of stuff going on during his presidency, said some interesting things, had some interesting anomalies. We might have to do a whole stream on the Eisenhower presidency and all the weird stuff that went on during that.
High quality swing state polls to start emerging that reflect that news?
So you specifically when you say swing states, I think that complicates it a little bit. In terms of national polls, I would expect in the next 2 weeks or so, we'll start to get a pretty good readout nationally. I mean, because you can just imagine what's going to be happening now. The profiles of Kamala Harris, presumably, interviews, whatever the public rollout looks like here immediately. I think a real test nationally of sort of, is she getting a new look? There'll be plenty of national polls I would expect in the next couple of weeks for that. The hesitation on the swing states, and when I mentioned these swing state polls that showed Biden getting into some trouble here, we haven't had a lot of them. And the swing state polls that we've had, a lot of them don't necessarily fall into that. They're proven commodities. They have long track records, widely thought to be very accurate polls. We've had some here. We've had some, and they've certainly shown some trouble for Joe Biden, some real trouble in these states. But I think one of the realities we've had this campaign cycle, and it's complicated why it's all kind of come about this way, is not a ton of high quality swing state polling. So in terms of when we'll really
not a lot of high quality swing state polling. So my prediction is that when the quality of the polling gets a little bit better, the polling is going to be indicative of Kamala Harris not really looking good in the polls. She's not going to be looking good in the polls. Now, I saw this video, and it's from this channel called Election Central. And like I said, we're going to be really paying a lot of attention to these numbers. And I'm sure it's going to be boring, and I'm sure people are not really going to be into it. But I'm into numbers because I'm a numbers geek. So we're going to definitely be looking at this and pinning things down, because as long as we're looking at the numbers and pinning things down, we'll be able to get a very good objective look at exactly where this is going, which we already know that this is just going to implode. It's just going to implode. You know what I'm saying? How many people can sense a massive implosion coming? Shout out to B1 first. So this is a video from yesterday, and it says Trump versus Harris. Biden dropped out. Election prediction updated. So we're going to see how accurate people think that this is.
Saying that Biden wouldn't drop out of the race. I've been laughing at you for the past few hours, I'll admit it. And it's because, as you all probably know, Biden just dropped out of the presidential race and endorsed Harris for the presidency. This comes after 38 congressional Democrats, George Clooney, and it's been implied Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, Pelosi, and Obama all wanted Biden to drop out. So with that being said, the choice was pretty obvious. What we essentially saw was a candidate being pushed out by their own party. This is pretty historic.
Now, let me ask you guys a question. Do you all agree with this assessment that Joe Biden got pushed out by the Democrats? If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Kind of saw it with Lyndon Johnson back in the day, but now, I wasn't even alive for that, but now we see another historic event happening. Biden was pushed out not by Republicans, but by Democrats. And this sets like a precedent. This sets maybe potentially a bad precedent that if a party wants someone out, they can push them out even after the people say that they want that person in. But again, nearly 2/3 of Democrats did say they wanted President Biden to step down. And this just goes to show how important it is that Trump.
I didn't know that it had got to be that many. That 2/3. That's like 66%. Nearly 2/3 of Democrats said Biden should step aside and allow the party to select a different nominee, according to a new poll from AP NORC Centers for Public Research. This was published on July 17th of 2024. The survey also found that 70% of Americans, including nearly half of Democrats, said that they were not confident that Mr. Biden had the mental capacity to be the president while he's the president, while he's currently the president right now. You know what I'm saying? That is a marked increase since February, when only about 1/3 of Democrats said that they were not confident in his ability. Downtrodden Democrats are especially concerned that Mr. Biden can no longer win the election. Just 37% of Democrats said they thought he could win, compared with 72% of Republicans who said they thought that former President Donald J. Trump could win. The new survey, taken from July 11th through 15th, as an increasing number of Democratic lawmakers and donors call for Mr. Biden to drop.
And Republican Party have essentially fused into one, because
Shout out
Trump
to
can't
Ty.
really
What's
be
good
pushed
with
out
you,
by
bro?
Republicans, even if they wanted to, because he now practically is the party. So him controlling the party rather than the party controlling him is one of the main factors that makes Trump so important in modern politics. And that's probably also why Biden dropped out. If it was just lawmakers that wanted Biden to drop out, he wouldn't have done so. But regardless, the precedent that this sets basically shifts power from the hands of the candidate to the hands of the party. And maybe this will weaken the executive. Who knows? But regardless, let's see what happens with this prediction. And anyways, the markets are going crazy. Predicted has Harris at an 81% chance of winning the 2024 Democratic nomination and a 37% chance at the presidency. So
that's now, how many people are familiar with this site called Predicted? If you guys are familiar with this, give me a thumbs up. If you guys are not familiar with this, give me a thumbs down. So they only have her at a 37% chance of winning on this predicted site. Now this looks like some gambling site. I gotta check this out, because I'm not gonna lie, if her chances are down to like 37%, you know how the Democrats be having that anomaly magic, and they make things that are not consistent with math. Somehow they get those kind of things to happen. If Kamala Harris's chances of winning are like super duper low, and they make some 2020 outcomes occur and people bet money on Kamala Harris, that's jackpot money if this is gambling. That's jackpot money if this is gambling. You know what I'm saying? If her odds is like that, what y'all think? What y'all think?
But with that being said, do I think Harris has a 37% chance to be president? No. Practically the entire reason that Biden dropped out was because people thought that another candidate, in this case Harris, would stand a better chance at winning the presidency than Biden. Because the Democrats' primary goal is to get someone to beat Donald Trump. That's been their goal since 2020. That's their goal in 2024. And that's why Biden dropped out of this race. But I find it extremely ironic that, as you'll see in this video, Harris stands an even less chance than Biden at defeating Donald Trump. So with that being said,
see, and I said that yesterday without any of the computation that they did. And this is why I keep asking the question. If Kamala Harris doesn't even have the same statistical chance of being competitive that Joe Biden has, why did they swap them out? This was extremely illogical and bad. In bad strategy. You know what I'm saying? Like, can somebody justify this? This is literally all I've been asking since I've been doing these streams, because I find this very simple and very provable. And what else is interesting is that there's nobody really taking this approach and looking at it, which, if you ask me, this is the most simple and obvious approach. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to JB Easy. JB Easy said, I can't wait to see Roland's meltdown. Y'all think Roland gonna melt down? If y'all think Roland Martin gonna melt down, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't think that he is, give me if y'all think that Roland is gonna have a meltdown, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't think that Roland gonna have a meltdown, give me a thumbs down. I should react to it if he do. I'm gonna keep my eyes out.
Biden dropped out of this race. But I find it extremely ironic that, as you'll see in this video, Harris stands an even less chance than Biden at defeating Donald Trump. So with that being said, before we go any further, I've been predicting that this would happen for weeks now. And to join the 1%, make sure to subscribe today. Anyways, back to the video. So there have been a bunch of polling on the topic, and there have been also approval polls of Kamala Harris. And as you can see, Kamala Harris has a net disapproval of about 12 percentage points. Now it's about 10, but this is a little crazy considering she's the vice president. Vice presidents typically have vice presidents essentially just sit there and collect a paycheck. As you can see, Joe Biden has a way higher disapproval than Kamala Harris, but Harris's disapproval is still extremely large for a vice president. So with that being said, I'm going to now look at polls between Trump and Harris versus Trump and Biden and see who performs better. So as you can see, Trump leads Biden by about +5, as much +6 in recent polls, but he leads Harris by as much as +8 in other polls. So with that being said, Harris doesn't even do better than Biden in polling.
So this right here, what you guys are looking at, this is literally like a new, and I didn't see this video. You know what I'm saying? I didn't see this video before I made the stream that I did yesterday. This video, and this is really good right here, because what this is doing is actually putting numbers behind my assumptions that I made, which is one of the reasons why, like I said, I'm going to be hammering on these polls. I'm going to be hammering on these polls. So this video is literally validating everything that I said, but validating it with the numbers. So again, my question is, how is Kamala Harris going to close these gaps? What is the foreseeable pathway that Kamala Harris has to be able to close any of these gaps foreseeably? That's my question for you guys. Let me know what you all think.
Harris may even be a worse candidate than President Biden. So Democrats have essentially backed themselves into a corner, into backing someone that may do worse than the person they had in the first place. So they essentially swapped one candidate for another, and the candidate they swapped their original candidate for may be even worse. So with that being said, let's continue with this prediction. And even though I think Harris will be a bad candidate, I don't think she's abysmal to the point where she won't win many of her safe states. Because again, she's still the vice president of the United States. She's still relatively popular among the Democrat base, and she'll still win many states that Biden would have won safely. So now we have what were considered to be the battleground states of this election, but some of these states already will go to Donald Trump just by the sheer fact that he's against Harris. So Iowa, Texas, Florida, and Ohio cannot be considered swing states or even battleground states at this point. Texas may not be safely to Trump, same with Florida, but Ohio and Iowa will certainly safely go to Donald Trump. In 2020 against Biden, they almost safely went to Trump. And that's when Trump was at almost the height of his unpopularity. He's had a little bit of a surge in popularity, especially after the assassination attempt, etc. And this means that Iowa will go to him pretty safely. Texas will go to him. Florida will go to him. And due to him picking JD Vance, senator from Ohio, as his vice presidential nominee, he will safely win the state of Ohio, bring him to 218 electoral votes with hardly doing anything at this point. However, Harris isn't a horrible nominee to the fact that she'll lose the state of Oregon. She will win Oregon. Oregon is the state that Biden won by about 16 percentage points. Oregon will go to Harris, but not by safe margins. Polls in Oregon have been closer than they were in the past. Biden has been winning them by about 11 or 12, but I view Harris will win them by about 6 or 7. The state of New Jersey will go to Kamala Harris because even though New Jersey did go to Trump in a recent poll, it'll go to Harris because most polls do have Biden leading in the state of New Jersey. New Jersey is trending towards the Democrats. It's solidly gone to Democrats time and time again. I do think New Jersey will go to Harris by closer margins than it's gone to Biden in the past, but it'll go to Harris nonetheless. However, this is about it for Harris's upward momentum. Harris is just essentially going downhill from here. The states of Colorado and New Mexico will not go to Harris by crazy margins. Colorado has been polling more and more closely, with Biden leading by only +6 in one recent poll. And remember, Hillary Clinton only won Colorado by +5, and New Mexico was a swing state as closely as 2004. So New Mexico will be closer in 2024, going to Harris, but not by too much. And now we get to Virginia, another state that was once safely going to the Democrats. Remember, in 2020, it went to Biden by 10 percentage points. 2024, the same won't happen. As we can see, polling in Virginia is very solid for Donald Trump.
So look at Virginia. Shout out to Alonzo. What's good with it, bro? And shout out to everybody watching. If y'all haven't hit the like button yet, take a moment, hit that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, take a moment, hit that bell. Also, please share the stream to your social media. Look at those polls. Like I said, we're gonna really be on this. So hopefully you guys liked it. If you guys like this, you know what I'm saying, make sure you guys let me know. But we're going to follow this very closely. Very closely. Because like I said, I see an ensuing disaster. Yeah, and I got to agree. Shout out to Jay and shout out to Deneen. How many people see Kamala Harris as the fall guy? If you guys see Kamala Harris as the fall guy, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't see her as the fall guy, then give me a thumbs down.
against Harris, leading by +4 in recent polls. Trump does win the state of Virginia against Kamala Harris, bringing it to 231 electoral votes. And as we can see on Polymarket, the states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania have narrowed up, which is a little weird. Those are Midwest states. I guess people view that Harris does have a better chance in those states than Biden, which I originally didn't expect. I don't agree with these betting odds. I don't agree with the odds in Virginia. I think Trump will win the state of Virginia, especially considering recent polling. But then again, maybe there was a logic behind why Harris was picked. Maybe she is a better candidate than Biden, and maybe she will win the state of New Hampshire. We have to take the betting odds into account, where Kamala Harris is given a 65% chance at New Hampshire and a 69% chance at Maine. Maybe there is a method to this madness. Maybe the reason Biden was switched out wasn't just because of his mental acuity. Maybe it was also because Harris stands a much better chance at beating Trump. I don't think this is necessarily true, but Harris will win the state of Maine as well, while Trump will win Maine's 2nd congressional district. Obviously, Maine's not a tilt state. New Hampshire is probably a tilt state. Regardless, Trump is leading Harris. Trump will also win Nebraska 2nd, which he won against Hillary Clinton back in 2016 by 2 percentage points, even though it flipped to Biden back in 2020. So now we have the Midwest, which I disagree with Polymarket's betting odds in these 3 states. So I view that Trump will win the Midwest. I think Harris is a relatively weak candidate in Midwest states, given that she was a former prosecutor and was—
Now, what do you guys think about do you guys think that Kamala Harris will be able to take the majority of the states in the Midwest? What do you guys think? Shout out to Rick. Rick says Kamala Harris losing Trump, at least not Biden, beat him in 2020, and that's bad. Yeah, facts. Shout out to Source Muscle Pain. Make sure y'all show Source Muscle Pain some love. Throw some like enforcers in the chat. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Jay. And those 2 DAs in New York and Fannie Willis are crash test dummies too. Facts. Crash test dummies, bro. Mind is a terrible thing to waste. You can learn a lot from a dummy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, shout out to DeAndre. DeAndre says she's the fall guy by default. Based on her record, she shouldn't win. Not only based on her record, just even do you guys, I want y'all to really have a full multi-dimensional understanding of what I'm saying. Do you all, when I'm trying to show you guys how crazy these odds are and how statistically impossible it seems, statistically insurmountable for Kamala Harris to be able to overcome any of these gaps to be able to win. Do you all see what I mean now? Not only does she bring nothing to the table, she doesn't even have math on her side. She doesn't even have math on her side. This is really bad. You know what I'm saying?
Unpopular with middle-class voters. And she did, remember, she lost the 2020 Democrat nomination to Joe Biden. She lost it. She already lost to Joe Biden. She was a weaker candidate in 2020. She may be weaker in 2024. Trump will win Wisconsin. He'll win Michigan. He'll win Pennsylvania. And this is not just backed up by my opinions. This is backed up by polling. Trump leads Harris in polling. This only has her up by +1. In the state of Wisconsin, this poll is even. But Harris is, as you can see, maybe even a better candidate than Biden, according to the polls in these states. But he leads Harris by +2 in Pennsylvania, as much as +7. And in Michigan, there's a similar story being told, where Trump does lead Harris by as much as +5 in recent polling. So Wisconsin will be closer, but Pennsylvania and Michigan will go to Donald Trump. And now Minnesota, another state in the Midwest. It will go to Donald Trump against Biden. There haven't been polls with Trump against Harris, but it'll likely go to Trump against Kamala Harris. So now we have Trump leading 287 to 202, and we get to the state of North Carolina, which Trump won in 2016 and in 2020. And I've said this in the past, I think Harris will be a similar candidate as Hillary Clinton. She'll get more female voters to essentially increase the voter turnout. She's also way younger than Donald Trump. She'll be a little similar to Hillary Clinton, even though Hillary Clinton was old. But Trump will win the state of North Carolina like he did against Hillary Clinton. Both Harris and Clinton are very unpopular, especially with white male voters. And for that reason, Trump will win North Carolina. And he'll also win the state of Georgia against Kamala Harris. Even the betting markets, which have very strange odds, do have Trump leading in Georgia with about 69% certainty. And also the states of Nevada and Arizona, which are on the West Coast. That's where Harris should be winning. Trump does win in Nevada and Arizona against Kamala Harris.
Now, I think that those Arizona and Nevada issues might be related to migrant crisis. If you guys think that those could possibly be related to migrant crisis, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't think that they could be related to migrant crisis, then give me a thumbs down. Yeah, and that is a problem. Shout out to Unsunken One. The population in those states are minuscule. Facts. Shout out to DeAndre. DeAndre says, I hear your argument, Rob. I think with the Trump fear-mongering and where we are in this country with racism, sexism, opposition, and Gen Z ideology on the patriarchy, it will be close. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree, bro. I wouldn't disagree. Based on those ideological things that you said, I wouldn't disagree. However, statistically, I want to see about a week's worth of polling and see if the pervasive ideologies are able to overcome the mathematical barriers. That's what I want to see. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Carlos. What's good with it, bro? Carlos says the problem is some people out here think that voting for a U.S. president is a popularity contest, just like high school or college. Yeah, like how they trying to galvanize the sorority women to vote for Kamala Harris. Facts, bro. Shout out to Cameron. Cameron says it will be a disaster, like when the Patriots beat the Falcons in the Super Bowl after they had a 28-3 lead at halftime. Bro, that's crazy. That's crazy. Shout out to Ricky. Ricky said this is basically the Democrat Party admitting they're going to lose, but they don't want to take the House and Senate losses with them for presidency. I agree 110%, bro. If you guys agree with Ricky, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Brooklyn. Brooklyn says, has Nimrata or Vivek ever called Kamala black? I know they pander that to us, but how do they view her? John made a great point yesterday, and as you said, it's a suicide. It's a suicide. Suicide. It's a suicide. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Deneen. Deneen says, watching black people go hard for a demented Joe Biden and now a fake black woman has solidified that a good majority of our people are programmed and brainwashed. They love the Democrats. Deneen, shout out to you. Deneen, you've been around for a long time. You've been around for a long time. You've been around for a long time. I got a question for you. What I've been saying for a long time. I know people don't like hearing it. I know people don't like hearing a lot of the stuff that I say a lot of times, but this is the reason why I say the stuff that I say a lot of times. I say the stuff that I say a lot of times because it's not fair to withhold things that are not the best on your ears, because all information needs to be provided so the optimal decisions and moves can be made. You know what I'm saying? You got to see and hear it all. You know what I'm saying? In order to have an accurate map to create effective contingencies. You know what I'm saying?
And polls do back this up. As we can see, polling has Trump leading against Harris by as much as +10 in the state of Nevada. Nevada, in some polls, can be classified as a safe state, which is a little crazy. And in Arizona, Trump is leading Kamala Harris by as much as +6. So with that being said, Trump does lead Harris. And the original outcome that is being predicted on the day that Harris is replacing Biden is 336 to Donald Trump to 202 against Kamala Harris. So if you want more predictions, make sure to like and subscribe. And thank you.
Now,
to everyone saying that Biden wouldn't.
Now, I don't know if it'll be that. That would be wild. That would be really wild if it got. That would be really wild if it was that big of a spread. But only time will tell. And like I said, we're going to be following it real close. You know what I'm saying? So let me know what you guys think. If you guys agree with my predictions and my assessments, or if you disagree, regardless, let me know what you think. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to try to do a stream later on today. It'll probably be on the other channel on BLR1. So if you're not subscribed to BLR1, take a moment and subscribe to BLR1. Shout out to Lewis Knowles. I want to shout out to stream sponsors. Shout out to the 8 stream sponsors. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Make sure y'all show Brooklyn Queen some love. Shout out to AB Promotions. Make sure y'all show AB some love. Shout out to Kurt. Make sure y'all show Kurt some love. Shout out to Rick. Make sure y'all show Rick some love. Shout out to DC Precise. Definitely appreciate you, bro. Shout out to Kiko. Definitely appreciate it. Shout out to Kurt. You already know. I appreciate it, bro. Shout out to my man, KO Kid Fit. I definitely appreciate it. All right. So y'all know what the dilly is. If this stream ends up getting yellow dollar signed, it'll be on members only temporarily. If they green dollar sign it, if it's yellow dollar signed indefinitely, then it's going to be on members only indefinitely. All right. Shout out to the members. Shout out to the green team. I will hopefully be back later on, but if not, we will be back tomorrow. And As always, ladies and gentlemen.
Walk up in this life. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this bitch like, hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey. I'm really him. Don't believe me? Come and see me. Got 3 wishes from my genie. Now I'm on your local TV. Y'all on tour, got demons. Say she wanna come and see me when I'm in a local city. I'm like, pause though. Please step aside so they can see me. And I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. On God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. I'm the realest from my city. That's on my knee, that's on Kiwi, that's on mamas. Niggas don't believe me, come and see me. I been dodging all that fake. All these niggas working broke, but I been getting paid. All that know me from the street. Action for what feature, that's like every other week. Talk behind my back, I kick my feet up, have a seat. Cause at the end of the day, all these watching me as I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. On God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. On God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this bitch like, hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey. I'm really him. Hold up.